Are you searching for a deeper understanding of your faith?
Inspiring Philosophy is your go-to resource for exploring the rich tapestry of Christian thought.
From biblical archaeology to philosophy of mind, we dive into the topics that matter.
Our content bridges faith and understanding, offering insights into God's existence and the reliability of the New Testament.
Join a community where faith meets reason and discover the answers you've been seeking.
Inspiring Philosophy, where faith meets understanding.
Erase the name. Now every idol sounds the same. A generation on its knees, begging comfort, killing peace. Oh, this is the price of pride. Dancing while the truth just dies. We fear the cross, embrace the chain. Our freedom's just another cage. In the ruins, a whisper stands, scarred and radiant, pierced hands. The silence breaks, the dark retreats. The king returned and thunder breaks. Where the last light fading under broken skies, chasing meaning in electric lights. But grace still burns where shadows fall. The dead arise, he conquers all. Take one last breath before the dawn takes back the
I'm angry. What else is new? That seems to be pretty on par.
Isn't that just like your standard state of being, Mike?
Yes. Isn't that normal? Anyway, I'm angry now. Well, let me explain why I'm angry. It's because Tucson decided to be humid for some stupid reason. It's been humid all week. It's just getting worse. And so, yeah, I hate it here. I'm like walking around my house where I'm typically like dry and cool, but now I'm humid and so I'm sweating, which sucks. So I hate it here. Want to move to a place where it's drier.
You're just nervous because you're ready to get debunked by Islam. He's sweating.
Super nervous. Super nervous. The powerful Dawa. I can't defeat it. What am I going to do? I don't know. They'll clip that one part now, and they'll be like, "You see, he admits it." That's what they do. Speaking of Dawa, we've got one of our favorite trolls here, servant of the most merciful, in the chat yet again, trolling. Hey, man, worshippers, how you doing? Why don't you come up, man? Like, like you can come up. Why are you down there? Come up and debate. Why are you you always hanging out in the chat when we do these? You never come up. But we like you because you pay jizya to us occasionally, so we appreciate that. So just wanted to point that out. Thank you, Slam, for becoming a channel member. Also, Louis, we appreciate that. King Smith says, make a video refuting Sonny Faz. The guy that blocked me. Yeah. We should look at some of this stuff. It is. He's a convert to Islam, and he just says the dumbest stuff ever. I wonder if I can give you a quick example of just kind of the stuff he does. I just like it. Oh my gosh. Where is it? I can't like even reply to him because he has me blocked. Because
I'd block you too if I could.
It's fair. Okay, so yeah, he put this and I added the picture because I just couldn't help myself. He says, I've never met a Muslim that hates Christians, only the other way around. And I added that picture just so he knows, like, what are you talking about, you liar? Like, I mean, like, never. There's no Muslims that hate Christians, like haven't killed them or made them martyr. None of so like that's the kind of low brain arguments he's putting out. But I challenged him to debate me on which is better for humanity, Islam or Christianity, and he blocked me because
that seems reasonable.
Mashallah, yes. Yeah, I debated his buddy though, Beck Glover. That didn't go well for them. I don't even think Muslims would disagree with that. Any update on the court? What court? Like what issue with Muslims are you talking about? Yeah, so I'm now point guard for the LA Lakers, if that's what you mean. Yes, they picked me up last night. I'm super excited about it. No, but also go Argentina. No, but I will have an important announcement regarding some issues, some legal stuff coming out tomorrow. So keep an eye for that video. It's very, very important that everybody watch that. So please keep an eye out for that video dropping tomorrow morning. It's going to be a short little video. It's only like 4 minutes, but it'll give you everything you need to know about the situation. So just keep an eye out for that. Is the Aramaic word for God is Allah? Is that true? No, it's not. It's Allah. It's like Allah or something like that. It's Ilah. It's like Ilah or something like that. It's in the Gospel of Mark. Eli lama sabachthia. That's what he says. He doesn't say Allah. So it's what's in the Gospel of Mark where he says, my God, Eli.
Yeah,
Eli,
I'm pulling up.
My God. Yeah,
That's not a big deal.
It's not. Muslims just see that it's similar and they get kind of excited and they go, oh, this is the proof Jesus is a Muslim. Yeah, sure. It also is proof that Arabic Christians that speak Arabic are also Muslim. Yes, very, very powerful arguments. So we've got some people in the queue. I'm going to bring them up. Just so you guys know, in the queue, everyone in the queue now should get up if you stay. If you leave, that's on you. But I should be able to get you all up. I think so. If it were proved that consciousness is entirely reducible to the physical brain processes with no physical component required, how would that impact Christianity's truthfulness? It wouldn't at all.
Yeah, I agree.
There are Christian physicalists. What's his name? Chris Date. Chris Date is.
States one. I know of a few other philosophers that are Christian physicalists.
There is only one person in the world that agrees that has this view, and it's Chris Date. He is a physicalist, a young Earth creationist, an annihilationist.
Oh yeah, I forgot he's a UIEC dude.
He's a young Earth creation.
Chris State's
Young Earth
he's
creationist
an
and a
enigma,
physicalist.
man.
I don't. He's the only young Earth creationist I know that's also a physicalist and an annihilationist. It's very interesting to say the least. So, yeah. So no, it wouldn't impact Christianity at all.
Yeah,
It's
because you still have to ask the question, like, why do we live in a universe where consciousness is still there, even if it is a byproduct of physical processes? Why do we live in a reality such that like brings that about?
Yeah.
You still have
Of
to ask
course.
that question.
we have to remember physicalism is entirely absurd and one of the most ridiculous theories out there. It's just insanely ridiculous. That's why it's called the hard problem of consciousness. Idealism makes the most sense, and everyone here agrees, especially Than. Anyway, moving on. Bark for you, Than. Kind of weird, kind of creepy.
Stay strong, brother.
Yeah, everyone barks for you, but no one ever.
What do they do for
quacks
you?
For duck lips. I was. Don't interrupt my joke, okay? Let me try this again. Than, everyone barks for you, but no one quacks for duck lips. Sad. Very sad. Anyway,
Everybody asks, who
let's
is a
bring in
good
our
duck?
first-
They never ask, how's a good duck?
good point. All right, we'll bring in our first guest. We're going to just go in order of how they showed up. So if you guys are not a Christian, you're invited to come up and argue with us on whether Christianity is true or not. So come on up. We've got a couple people in the queue. So if you get up now, you should be able to get in here. It's nice to see Than wearing shirts that fit. That is true.
This is like one of the tightest shirts I've ever. I usually wear I never win with you guys. I never win. If I wear a shirt that's a little too tight, people are like, "Take your shirt off." If I wear it too baggy, why isn't your shirt tight? What do you guys want from me?
The Muslims want you to take your shirt off. Okay, that's why they made that site about you. Okay,
No. I have to hide my aura.
I don't like this lame apologetics. Don't do that. Let's not do that. No. Now I have to remove them. Okay. Can you recommend some books on metaphysics? Sure. Of course I can. I can recommend some books. So Philosophical Foundations for a Christian Worldview. You can't come back in and do that. It's weird, man. I love this one here. Cora the Yappy. Oh, that's good. Anyway, Introducing Philosophy is one of my go-to books for introducing philosophy by Solomon, for example. So check out that book. I would say that's a good one. Check out those.
Van Wagon has a book literally titled Metaphysics that I would recommend
I
reading.
always forget that one.
I forget who he is. There's a scholar that I wish I remembered his name off the top of my head. If you just Google like the 4-category ontology, I think his last name is Lewis. I would recommend that book too.
Yeah. Okay. Let's bring up our first guest because we've been
yapping,
procrastinating. Okay, so modern atheism. Are you there?
Hi guys.
How you doing,
Yeah.
man?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on?
Yeah,
going
good.
on?
And you?
So I'm
Hi,
guessing you're an atheist then.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
modern kind.
I wasn't sure if you were a Muslim or not. I couldn't tell.
No.
Muslim atheism.
Did you see?
No, I'm
All
an
right, so
agnostic.
why
but
are
yeah.
you an atheist then?
Well, I'm like an agnostic. Actually, I'm
Okay.
leaning
You see?
away from.
He's already running. He's retreated to agnosticism already. I'm joking. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not very atheist. I think I'm an open-minded agnostic. But anyway,
Okay, so do you think a God exists then?
yeah, maybe. I think quite possibly exists. Yeah.
But not the Christian God.
Yeah, no, I think if God existed, I think will be like an universalist or a bit more like a deist God. I think that will make a bit more sense for me. I just personally, that's just how I see it. But I also think, by the way, if God existed, I think idealist will be the most reasonable worldview about reality. I also think that he will be just a mind, and he will just simply make other minds and give them like the stimulus that make it seem that there is matter there, but it will just be mind.
You see,
Like,
Than, he's
ultimately.
refuted you. You're embarrassed now. He has proven
I
idealism
never
is
said
true.
I never said idealism's false.
That-
I
it's
just said
over. You
I'm
just admit defeat.
non-committal
No,
between
you
dualism
admitted-
and idealism.
No, he admitted defeat. It's over. So anyway, so what is your problem? So let's talk about Christianity. Why?
Yeah.
That's the topic. Let's just get into it. Why are you not a Christian?
So I wanted to talk about gospel contradictions, and before getting into the specific specific examples, I wanted to start with a general point, and is, for example, like how many they are. And for example, even if we look at your series on Bible contradictions, you got like 40 almost, I think. And here's my argument. When you talk about the resurrection, you make the point that the resurrection is one simple hypothesis that parsimoniously explains like all the data.
Mhm.
And I think we could make an analogous case with contradictions. When you look at how many there are, because I think that the harmonizations sometimes are a bit ad hoc or implausible. I know obviously that we will disagree on that, but let me just say this. The hypothesis that the gospel authors were inventing, that hypothesis alone would like explain all the contradictions at once. So in a way, it would be like a simple explanation. But on the other hypothesis, I think you need like a bunch of these ad hoc and weird scenarios that like kind of logically harmonize the contradiction, and you need like all of them to be true, and there are like a ton of them. So it seems to me like just in a general sense, the hypothesis that there are contradictions because the gospel authors were inventing, it just seems like a better explanation, right?
So here-
Or we can
here's
look
my
at
first-
examples, but what do you think of that?
So I got some questions to start. Okay. So would you say the opposite is true then? When you have undesigned coincidences, is it better explained that this is reliable history? Because that would be the opposite, undesigned coincidences.
Yes, I agree.
So you would say if we've got abundance, that would support reliability then.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're doing the which that's great. We can actually it's great talking to atheists or agnostics and not Muslims. You'll see your questions answered. Oh, it's great. Oh, it was so refreshing. I was expecting. See, here me, I'm going like, oh,
Mike's nervous system is like primed for like a headache. Like your body's tensed up, and all of a sudden you're like, where am I?
Just
I
wait a minute. He answered
an honest
the
answer.
question. An honest answer? No, I forgot. I'm not talking to a Muslim. Okay, great. So great. Yeah. So then it just becomes a question of like where the needle moves. Like undesigned coincidences are going to move the needle towards reliability. And you're saying like contradictions move it towards like unreliability. If I understand you correctly. So the first thing I would say is like when it comes to undesigned coincidences and contradictions, you can build a cumulative case, but it also is based on the idea of making sure that when you do the cumulative case, there are actually contradictions. So like, let me give an example of like one of my favorite supposed contradictions I like to refute, which is that the synoptics say Jesus was crucified on Friday, but John says Thursday. And they go to this verse, for example, here. Now it was the day of the preparation of Passover. And they go, well, that must mean it was Thursday when all these events are going on. But if we just read further down, when we get to this point, it says, since it was the day of preparation, so there's the day of preparation again, so that the bodies would not remain on the cross on the Sabbath, for that Sabbath was a high day. Well, hold up. It's the day of preparation, but tomorrow's the Sabbath. So like sometimes when it comes to supposed contradictions, here's my point. And this is a famous one. Bart Ehrman brings this up. Paulo Gia brings this up. My point is that they're not even really contradictions. This is a manufactured contradiction between John and the Synoptics that does not exist. They've made it up by lying about what John says. John clearly is saying it's Friday because it's the day before the Sabbath. So what does he mean in verse 14? Verse 14 is the day of the preparation of the Passover. Okay, well, day of preparation is the word for Friday in Greek. So we know what it's the Friday of the Passover week, not the day where they're preparing for the Passover meal that evening. So I use this as an example, and I'll extrapolate a little bit from this, I'll admit. I think a lot of the supposed contradictions are just simply, how do I say this? They're either like manufactured, they're not real, or they can easily be harmonized just by applying the tiniest bit of charity. And like we would do that with like other accounts, like, you know, Plutarch's Lives. We're not going to assume contradictions because he spots like one character and ignores others. I don't see these. So I guess I would want to know, like, what do you think about that? And like, how is like what I think what we'd have to do is just go through like a bunch of contradictions and see if they make better sense as being contradictions or if they can easily be harmonized or if they're manufactured.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I read Miley Conner's book on contradiction, and I also had an interview with him on my channel, and we talk about this. He thinks that many of them can be harmonized or can be explained by the use of literary devices also. But he admits that there are still some that are problematic, like even then, like even after all of
Well,
that.
let's take Mike Licona. Mike Licona would agree with you. There are some contradictions. I think he is going a little too far. Fully admit that. I think there's far less than what he would, but I don't think that's a problem, because it's one thing if this was Islam, where we would say the Bible is the uncreated speech of Yahweh, which we don't say. Like, we don't think this was dictated to Jesus and then they wrote it down. Like, we think these are inspired. So there's human authors involved. Would that really be a problem for Christianity? I don't see that as being a huge problem for the truth of Christianity, because I think if you're working through human authors, you would expect some of that, including scribal errors over the years. Like, I've argued there were scribal errors in between Chronicles and Kings, for example.
Yeah. I mean, if you can explain the contradiction in terms of a good faith mistake, I think that's okay, right?
Okay.
I bet that there is a point. Yeah. I think there is a point. Like, I have seen some people say that maybe Matthew found a genealogy and he thought it was Mary's or Joseph or something like that. He thought it was Joseph, but it was Mary's, for example, something like that. I have seen something like that.
Can I say something on that?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So that's one, again, I don't see as a big issue. I think people take a molehill and turn it into a mountain, because if you read both Matthew and then you read Luke is very much following the story of Mary. He's telling it from her perspective. Meanwhile, Matthew is following in the perspective of Joseph very much. It's kind of interesting. So I think you would expect the different genealogies, because if you read Luke Vandewey's book, Living Footnotes in the Gospel of Luke, he makes the case that Luke may have been able to interview like James and possibly even Mary. And so you would expect him to get her story, or at least from her family members. And then Matthew has somehow got the traditions of Joseph. So you would expect the different genealogies to align with those different people.
Yeah. There is one difficulty with that. If you read Raymond Brown's magisterial work on the Nativity, the birth of the Messiah, he thinks that this is implausible because the Jews never traced a genealogy in the line using the line of their mother. Like, they never ever do this. And Bart Ehrman says he has found 0 examples of a genealogy ever being traced over the mother. Like, it never happens. You always take the father. So he makes this point in his book, and that's why he thinks that this solution is implausible. And there are other solutions like a levirate marriage and stuff like that. But I don't.
The levirate marriage, that was Eusebius's view. But I agree though. I'm not saying it's necessarily Mary's genealogy, but if Joseph becomes the legal heir of Heli, you just carry it through there. And then you just have different families reciting those different genealogies, because it was very common in that world to have a legal heir for multiple people to carry on names. It's very important to carry on names. So Joseph, like, for example, if Mary didn't have any, like brothers or something like that, Joseph would become the legal heir. That's not a problem, is what I'm saying. There are very easily plausible scenarios that are not ad hoc in accounting for this.
Okay, well, I will have to look into it, but I'm not sure that having a legal heir means that now you can make a genealogy which is supposed to show blood relations now over that person. I don't know if that ever got done. Like, what Raymond Brown says is like this never ever got done. And it would have
it is. So if you go to like Matthew's genealogy and you look at like Shealtiel, after the deportation of the Babylonian, Jeconiah, the father of Shealtiel, the father of Zerubbabel. I forget who it is, but one of these is a legal heir, and you can see this in Chronicles because it lists the fathers of these people, and it's not who you would suspect. So that comes up in Chronicles, for example.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, do you want to look at another example, like one maybe like Judah, the issue of how Judas died? This is a very famous one.
Yeah, the issue about Judas died.
Yeah, like the traditional harmonization is that. I mean, Matthew says that he hanged himself, right?
Yep.
And Acts says that he fell in a field. He fell headlong in a field, yep. Right? And but there are other aspects in the story that are contradictory. And one problem I see with by saying that, well, Luke is just talking about the body of Judas, how it fell after hanging and that, burst open, is that Luke says it fell headlong, like with the head down. But
That's not what that. No, that's not what Berenice means in the Greek.
Really?
Berenice
Well,
means.
Berman-
Yeah, Bad Ehrman's wrong. I was just
Okay.
going to say Ehrman is wrong. If you look at the usage of Berenice, it's not head first. It's prone position. Like
Really?
belly first is headlong. It's
I
a
look-
horizontal.
I looked it up once in a forum. They were talking about this, and they
Yeah,
did
I'll
say that it
pull
was
it up.
head first.
Pull it up then. Show him. I want to see
Yeah.
this. I'm
What's
looking
the
up that
passage?
Scialto thing.
Okay, but even then, even if how would Luke even know the way that the body fell? He would have to be there in the exact second that the rope snapped and fell for Luke to even know this. Do you realize that, right? He
It-
doesn't.
not-
he
no,
cannot
look,
possibly know.
I think you're overreading the text. This is like a general way that these manufactured contradictions happen, in my opinion. You're overreading the text.
Mhm.
Why are we saying that Luke is like specifically trying to give like a bird's eye view or like a drone
I'm
footage
right back.
view of the way the body fell instead of something like the body was headlong, like he fell headlong, not trying to give some sort of like autopsy, but he's headlong on the floor. Like you would use the same language as well, right?
Right.
What else would he
Yeah,
say if he wants to just say that Judas fell and then he was in this position?
Maybe if it refers to the position they found the body in the floor, then that's fine, I guess. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
looked at. I remember looking it up some time ago, and it did say that it was head first. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
where
trying to
you-
find the passage off. I don't
You're
remember it off the top
You're
of my head.
Greek, right? Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
read all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Can you read the gospel like in your own language? Like it's the same?
My hit Greek is different than Koinonia Greek, so it
Oh.
takes time. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. I see. That's
What's
good.
the passage though? Judas. I'm just gonna type
Okay.
in Judas fell how long.
I mean,
It's in Acts.
while you find it, I don't want to overwhelm you with a ton of stuff, but I do want to make the point that the stories
why-
also contradict on.
Go-
Sorry,
I was going to say, go while Than finds it. I'll talk to you about the other
Yeah.
thing. But go on.
the story also conflicts in who bowed to the field and why is the field known as the field of blood. So
Well,
it's
first
like
off,
okay,
Who bought the field? No, it doesn't. It says, for example, I forget which one it is. Let me see if I can pull it up really fast because in one of it just says it was bought in Judas's name, and in one I believe it's in
Judas
Matthew.
bought the field. Matthew 27:7. Judas with the money, the priests bought the field, and Acts
Yes.
says that Judas bought the field.
Okay, well, no, I agree. The priest bought the field. Let me go to Acts chapter. I believe it's in
Yeah.
chapter
I know,
1 is
yeah.
where it is. Yeah, because it's just. I looked this up a while ago, and what it actually says it was just sort of bought in Judas's name, which would make sense if the priests were doing it, so that they don't tie themselves to
Okay.
that by in any sort of
No.
ritual impurity
Okay,
sense.
sorry. When I see that, like, you cannot buy. You think that back then, let's say you and I are in the first century, do you think I can just buy something, for example, in your name without your authorization? Because I think, look in
Yes,
Jeremiah
because here-
32.
Hold up. For example, Acts
Okay.
1:17 says, "For he was numbered among and was allotted his share in the ministry. Now this man acquired a field with the reward of his wickedness." So it just says he became in possession of the field. But it's like I say the same thing. Like for example, with my daughter. My daughter has acquired a stuffed animal. I bought it. Like it's like same kind of thing. The priest bought the field for Judas in his name, and they don't put themselves on the records for
Right.
posterity
But that would-
reasons, ritual reasons, you name it.
I mean, that would imply that he got the field from them, right? They bought it with his money, and then they gave him the field.
Yeah, they wrote it
That's
in
the
his name.
problem.
It'd be on the records. Is what the
No,
point is.
they bought it in his name. Let me tell you this: Jeremiah 32:10 talks about a person buying a field, and it mentions signing documents, signing a copy, being present in front of our witnesses. So I think Judas, I cannot just buy something in your name like that. Judas will have to be there and approve of the transaction, I think, for that to really be bought in his name. And here's what I say:
Right.
if Judas doesn't want the money because he regrets the whole thing, he's not going to want the field either. So they cannot just buy him a field, right? That's what I think.
Well, I mean, I think you're extrapolating from Jeremiah that has to be the process, and that there's no like rule that yes, he has to be president and sign document like that. No, it's that he died. The priest purchased a field because it was a field of blood, and it's like, all right, well, it's just Judas's field. Like that's how they're going to put it on the records.
He will have to be alive before. He
Where
will
does
have
it
to
say
be
that?
alive the moment they bought the field because he went to the field and hung himself there. That's the harmonization.
Where does it say that? Where does it say that has to be the
No.
case?
Remember that what Acts says is that he was he fell in his field, and your harmonization is that he hung himself there, right? So he will have to go there to the field they bought for him and hang himself there for the harmonization to work.
Matthew 27 says, but the chief priest taking the pieces of silver said, it is not lawful for them to put into the treasury, since it is blood money. So they took the counsel and bought that with them the potter's field as a place of burial for strangers. Therefore, the field has been called the field of blood to this day. So, I mean, like, it doesn't say like these things you're saying that he has to be there to sign for it. It's like, okay, Judas went out and hanged himself. Let's just purchase the field. It's now his field, and that way it's not tied to us. There. Acts is saying something different. Acts, but real quick, does Acts say Judas bought the field?
I think I don't know if the word is acquire or bought.
It's acquire.
Right?
It's a different word.
Maybe in that context, it means buy, right?
So
maybe
if I bought my daughter a stuffed animal, did she buy it or did she acquire it?
No, what I'm asking is the word can be also be used for buy, because sometimes those words back then, they are not as precise as modern words.
Same with the English word. I could say, I acquired this house. I bought this house. Okay. But you're trying to make a contradiction out of something that can easily be explained by the different words. Go ahead, Fan. What were you going to say?
Hold on, because I was looking up the word that you guys were disputing now, but let me just pull this up. So fotopranis, which is the word that is used for falling headlong. It's forward, prostrate, head first, headlong. And then you also see that in the Greco-Roman area and Greco-Roman literature at large, there is a motif that's associated with bursting as a violent from because of a violent fall that happens with this word as well. So that's what I'd say there. I mean, there's more to get into with this. And then for the word that you guys are disputing too, this one right here, domai, it's to gain possession of, procure for oneself, acquire, get, bring upon oneself, possess. So it doesn't say buy here.
Okay, is there a word for buy?
Yeah, it's what Matthew uses. The word in Matthew's in Matthew 27.
Oh, I see. Okay, maybe okay.
But here's the point I'm trying to make, the overall point. If we just apply a little bit of charity, the same way we would apply it to our own conversations. Like, again, if I said my daughter acquired a stuffed animal, and then later you heard me say that I bought the stuffed animal, you're not going to be a douchebag. I think you're going to be a nice guy and go, obviously, I can harmonize those two statements. Why is that the problem here? Why is harmonization just like, oh, no, we don't do that here? Like, obviously we would do that.
Okay, well, let me tell you something about charity. I mean, when I can be charitable one time, and I will like, okay, that's fine. But when you ask me to be charitable for the 10th time, at some point I'm like, okay, really?
Well, yeah, the question is, why think that the things we're saying have a low probability at all? Again, because whether or not it's ad hoc is going to be conditional on what you think the model of the Gospels is in the first place, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Here's an example. Right. Pretend Mike. There's two versions of Mike. One version of Mike is he's a piece of trash, and he cheats on his wife and stuff like this. Okay. And the other version of Mike is who he really is. He's nice, he's loyal, all this other stuff, right? And suppose a text, and suppose his wife finds a text on his phone, and it says, "I had a great time last night. Thanks," with a heart emoji. Okay. Now and then she goes and confronts Mike and goes, "Well, can you explain this? This looks like you're cheating on me." Well, if it's bad Mike and he says something like, "Oh, that's my friend Than. He was in town. I took him out for dinner."
That's
right?
Worse. I wouldn't say
the
that.
hypothesis that he's lying has a higher prior probability, right? But if it's good Mike and he says that, it might seem ad hoc unless you take into account that he's an honest guy and doesn't really engage in that type of behavior, right?
Yeah.
So the assumption of what psychological portrait you have of the gospel authors in the first place is going to dictate, right, how likely a harmonization is versus them making up a fact is.
Yeah.
So I think what we need to do is conditionalize on both of those accounts.
Right. I think the a priori question, when you are examining things truly a priori, you'll have to ask normally a priori, how likely is it that a man is going to send a message with a heart to a person, like a priori normally? That's
If
what
it's
a
me,
priori
dude, if it's me, dude, ask the Muslims.
Yeah. I'd see the bromance stuff. People do that all the time. But I mean, like, overall, the main point, I mean, like, why not just take Lacona's view? Like Lacona would agree with you about the Judas thing and still think Jesus rose from the dead. How does that debunk Christianity?
No, I mean that one by itself, Judas by itself will not do it. But if we add like a few, a bit,
Yeah, he would grant a bunch of you. He'd grant a whole handful.
Would
for
you wait,
Oh,
modern? Like, you don't have to tell me if you're not, but just if you're not married, pretend you're married for a second.
I'm not
Okay.
married.
Are you gonna like tell your wife one day, like, hey, I've been charitable 50 times and now I'm done. I don't trust you anymore. I think you're lying to me.
I mean, yes. Sorry, I don't know. Dude, if you have to be, what does be charitable mean? You have to do it 50 times. That's too many. You know what I mean?
Well, well, being charitable means
Yeah.
like being charitable means listening to their side of the story and not overreading what they're saying or like projecting it in like in a relationship context, projecting your insecurity onto them or anything like that, right? So let's just say texts like that happen with your wife, and then she goes, "Oh, well, no, that's just a friend. You don't have to worry." Or maybe like a guy hits on her and she doesn't do anything about it, and you ask her, "Why didn't you do anything about it?" And she's like, "Well, I'm scared. I don't want to. What am I supposed to do?" Right?
Yeah.
And as soon like that happens 50 times, sooner or later you're just gonna be like, "Nah, we're done."
No, but that's the thing. If there is one weird text with some guy, I think one time is fine. But if at the 10th time, for example, I'm like, okay, no, this girl is a cheater. You know what I mean? You know what? You get my point also, right? This is not supposed to happen 50 times. That's what I
the
mean.
conflation here is not 50 texts from one guy. It's 50
No.
instances where you had to where you had a seeming contradiction or a tension, right? And you go, "What's this?" And then there's some sort of explanation that you didn't think of before, right? And every single time you're going to go, "Well, that's ad hoc, but I'll be charitable this one time." Right?
Yeah.
And you're just going to what's going to happen?
Yeah, 50.
Like if this is the way you approach relationships in general, like I would just argue that this is just bad epistemology, and I would argue that this is bad understanding of human psychology and the way people testify and the way people act in general.
Really? But don't you think that 50 times at some point is way too many, right? At some point, like, no, you are deluding yourself if you want
I
to
would say 50
always be-
times of actual genuine boundary breaks is bad. But 50 times where it's apparent, but not actually, is not bad.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I would apply this to other ancient works. Like if I read like Plutarch's Lives, or if I read like, you know, like supposed contradictions between like Tacitus and Suetonius, my first thought is like, okay, can we harmonize these? My first thought is not, I found contradictions. Like I feel like the what we do as humans is we would look for ways that they can work. Like, you know, it was like I remember hearing a Modern Report one time where it's like, you know, they found a body hanging on a tree in a forest, but another report said they found it near train tracks. Well, both were true. And in fact, the body was hanging on the edge of the forest by the train tracks. So it was in the forest, but also close to civilization. So like we would not, my point is we don't assume contradictions. We in any normal circumstances, we take contradictions when we realize there's no way to harmonize it. But I mean, back to my main point, even if we can't, why not take the Lycona view? Because Lycona will grant you all these contradictions and Jesus still rose from the dead.
Yeah, I mean, Lycona thinks the evidence is just so strong for the resurrection that even if there are a bunch of contradictions, like it doesn't matter, right? He thinks the gospel, he doesn't even appeal to the gospels very much. He thinks from Paul alone, we can almost infer the resurrections, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
obviously,
I would, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I'm not sure about
here's what I'm saying. We got like 8 other guests behind you, so maybe next time if you come back, we can have that conversation.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
Bye,
it.
time. Okay. Bye.
He was nice. I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cool. Definitely better than dealing with some of the Dawa guys, so I appreciate that. Let's bring in, oh wait, I wanted to do this super chat. Base Cristina, Argentina will beat cringe secularist Spain
Did you say
Reconquista.
Christina? Christian.
Oh, did I say Sorry, I don't know why I said that.
Dude,
Base
this
Christian.
happens a lot. Do you have?
Well, I saw Argentina. For some reason, I thought it was a last name for some reason. And so I just assumed it was Christina.
Oh man.
I was like, because you say people are based. And I was like, okay, I see what I did wrong. Based Christian Argentina. Okay. Ex-Muslim, thank you for that. We appreciate it. I'm meow insofar as I bark. Weasel.
I don't know. No.
Yes, I get it. It makes sense. I said yes insofar as I was saying no.
Yes, but just don't do it here.
Thank you, Randy, for gifting 5 Inspiring Philosophy memberships. Everyone together. No. Everyone not together. No. Bad. No. Stop it. Moving on. I am a Christian wrestling with doubts in general, but now I'm struggling with anxiety regarding my salvation, specifically with regards to choosing the right tradition, Catholicism. Do you have any guidance for me? Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I believe the church is where there are the sacraments and the word. It's in the Catholic Church. It's in the Orthodox Church. It's in Protestant churches. They have the sacraments, baptism, for example, and they're preaching the word. So go to a place where you're going to get that. Why are you worried about this stuff? If you're saved by grace through faith, why do you have anxiety? You're assuming in that this is a works-based thing. You got to pick the right tradition or you're not going to make it. If you're saved by grace through faith, and it's about what Christ did for you, then let the Holy Spirit lead you to the right church. Now, obviously, don't go to a heretical one. Again, go to the Orthodox church. Stay out of like Oneness Pentecostal, Jehovah's Witness, because that's not the church. But I mean, use a little bit of your critical reasoning skills. Anyway, what are you gonna say, Stan?
Yeah. Since you already spoke on that, and I'm just gonna give you the same advice I'd give anybody that is going to self report on felt anxiety when it comes to religion in general. If it's like a subclinical or a clinical anxiety, then the problem is not whether or not you know something right now. The problem is that you have a thought pattern that you need to stop and interrupt, right? You're in a pattern where you have a felt tension and stress, and rather than like letting yourself feel it and process it and metabolize it, you're looking for relief from the stress rather than actually processing it. So when it comes to anxiety, the first thing you need to do is actually like let that process and metabolize before you seek relief. Otherwise, what you're doing is once you find the relief, you're reinforcing a pattern of tension, relief, and that cycle just keeps repeating and getting reinforced. So before you do anything, I would really urge you to break that pattern and then seek the truth with a sober mind.
Staffen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks for letting me on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very loud. I'm going to turn you down a little bit, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Is it better now?
Yep, it's fine. I got it. Don't worry about it.
Great. Thanks for having me on. And thanks for producing a lot of interesting videos. I obviously don't agree with everything, but I find it...
Well, appreciate that. So are you atheist, agnostic, Muslim, Druze? What are you?
Deist.
Deist. Okay. So you're half-based.
Thank you. That's very flattering.
So, all right. So what are your objections to Christianity?
Three major. The first one is I think there are better alternative, or at least equally good alternative explanations to the resurrection. The second objection is that I believe Christianity doesn't add any explanatory power, at least not in a meaningful sense, to what we can observe right now, in like consensus or reality or whatever. And thirdly, I believe, Christian ethics are abhorrent in my opinion.
Okay, well, hold on. I want to get to the first one because I think that's the main thing. But what about Christian ethics are abhorrent? Because you're a Westerner. I mean, all your ethics, as historians have shown, are coming from the Christian tradition.
Meat eating. Christianity accepts, or at least mainstream. There are like vegan forms of Christianity, which I don't find abhorrent, but the meat eating accepting ones I do find, at least in the animal ethics.
Well, I mean, that's a side issue. I mean, like you could be, as you admitted, you can be a meat-eating Christian or you can be a non-meat-eating Christian. Are you saying that the Bible would have to like explicitly like outlaw meat eating to be good?
Yeah, at least aim for it, at least regulate it. Like
right. I want to show you something. I think this is interesting because I think this is relevant. So I think here's the point I want to make about that. I don't think you're taking into account the history. The way that we live in a world of luxury today, absolute luxury where we can get everything we need. That's just not the case for people in the ancient medieval world. I believe this is it here. Yes, let me put this up here. So I'll pull up a study here that was actually done. I found this one kind of interesting. So this is on Christianity, infant health in India. I think this is the one. Let me double check if it is. I'm pretty sure it is. The reason why this is interesting is because here it is. Yes, they compared Christian girls, Hindu girls that are not going to eat meat, and Muslim girls. And the ones that were being born the healthiest were the Christian girls. They were taller, better health. And what was the difference? Well, Hindus don't eat meat. Muslims they exclude certain meats, but Christians allow all forms of meat, and it makes them and it made them healthier. So maybe in today's modern age you can make that case, but historically for the past 2,000 years, people have needed meat because the way the system without modern industrial society, you can't get all the nutrients you need from plants. It's just really hard. It's hard to absorb iron from plants, for example. It's very easy for the human body to absorb iron through meat, for example. So allowing meat in a pre-industrial world is actually going to make people healthier. And pigs, for example, have aided to that, despite what people say about pig meat, because pigs are easy to grow in terms of livestock. They require less feed than, like, for example, cows or even sheep. So you can produce far more meat at a much quicker rate to feed more populations. So I think historically you had to allow meat eating in pre-industrial worlds. Maybe you can make a case against it today, but in the pre-industrial world, I think that's a much harder thing to do.
That's a great point, and I want to say, Michael, or should I say Jones? How do you prefer to be addressed?
Supreme Overlord Commander of the Alliance forces. No, Mike is fine. That's fine. I guess if you want to do it short, that's fine.
Thank you, Overlord. I appreciate it. Anyway, you always have a source for like.
Wait. Do not supplicate to Mike. Okay, he's got a big enough head.
I'll have you know my head is average sized. Okay.
No, but seriously, you always have a source for like everything, regardless what somebody jumps on you on. So that's impressive. With that said, let's take the comparison to like slavery. If someone could argue, I've heard like humanists argue that slavery was a necessary evil in ancient times, even up until relatively recently. I personally don't buy that, but even if we accept that, like a lot of Christians would say that, yeah, like slavery, it couldn't be banned directly. So God had to, like, through trajectory hermeneutics, make it apparent that, well, once you have the option to ban slavery, you need to do that. And that's why, like, Quakers and all that realized that, yeah, slavery is a bad thing. The fact that Quakers said they communicated with the Holy Spirit is like God showing his hand and everything. The thing is, you don't see that in modern nations around veganism. Christians overall are like, well, like, yeah, slavery was bad. We needed to ban that when we got the possibility. But killing cows, stabbing them in the neck for nothing, basically, when we could eat a vegan burger, taking their children.
You know, hey,
we don't stab them in the neck.
Stefan, I think some if like animal suffering and stuff like that is something that you actually really, really care about.
Yeah, I do.
And it's not going to be something, because I actually relate really hard to this. Okay, like I probably even have a little bit of cognitive dissonance about meat eating because I feel so strongly about it. Nonetheless, you would really love a book about it's called like The Problem of Animal Pain by Trent Doherty. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
I would definitely check it out. Because I don't know, Mike, exactly where you land, but I think the telos of Christianity points to like animal universalism, and that animals will actually be resurrected and granted almost like a martyrdom status in heaven, basically. And there's a whole beautiful system there where the lion will literally lay with the lamb. So the telos of Christianity, the telos of Christianity is not meat eating, right? So I can sit across the table with you, and we can meet at the place where we both agree that the way animals are treated most of the time today is still abhorrent. And I think a lot of Christians, once they're actually faced with that, would probably agree with you.
Yeah, that's very interesting to hear. I wrote down Dorothy.
Here's my whole take on it. I was talking to a dairy farmer about this, or I watched some of his videos once and I was talking to him about this. He made the case like, okay, let's just say we went vegan and we stopped eating cows, dairy cows even. What happens to the dairy cows after they're done producing milk? What would happen to them?
Well, we'll stop breeding them, and the ones that remain will live out their lives in animal sanctuaries.
Okay, yeah. So basically, based on what he was saying, is like after they're done with milk, they don't live much longer. It may be like 1 or 2 years on average. And during that time, they can easily develop like all sorts of like infections, parasites in their system where they just slowly die miserably. Same thing happens with deer. So in the wild, if hunters don't shoot deer, the way they typically die is they'll develop parasites, they'll slow down, and they'll slowly be eaten alive by predators, whether like internal parasites or, of course, wild predators. His point was this, and I thought it was a very good point. He's like, no matter what happens on Earth, you as a physical being are going to be eaten. Your body will be eaten. It's either going to be eaten by predators or by bacteria, parasites, you name it. Everything is going to be eaten. So here are the options. You have a cow. It produces milk. You let it live on a farm for like another year or so, and then it slowly dies of parasites. Or you do the modern humane way where it gets killed quickly, painless. We use it for meat to feed growing populations of people to make them to healthy. Or, you know, it just lives on a farm and dies a slow, painful death from parasites or old age or you name it. Now I get like, this is not, now we have to take into account also, this is not an ideal world. We're thinking of pragmatic or practical implications here. I think the pragmatic thing to do is just to use the animal for food because it's going to be used for food just by bacteria and not by us.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that dairy farmer was being very misleading there. The reason cows produce enough milk to suffer diseases from it is because we forcefully impregnate them regularly and take them children away from them. That's not a law of nature. We don't have to do that. And also when it comes to the amount of lives they have left to live, that varies a bit between countries as the standard. But to take for my country of Sweden, for example, we typically kill them at approximately 8 years old. They can live between 15 to 20 years. And when it comes to killing painlessly, I would also not agree on that point. I would recommend the movie Dominion or just watching slaughterhouse footage from America. Or it's the same in Sweden. It looks horrible seeing an animal being like panicked in a slaughterhouse, trying to get out and having his or her throat slit.
Well, I mean, he says they don't slit throats. They have a device that's placed on the head, takes them out really quickly, kind of like a gun shot, but not the same thing. And boom, it's over. They don't feel any pain. And he says he's never seen cows panic like that. So maybe the solution is just to have more industrialization and modernization where they're put out without misery. Because, I mean, this is me getting, like, it's kind of weird. I'm talking to someone who works with cows every day, and I'm talking to you. Why would I not go with the person who's working with cows every day?
Yeah, he has a profit incentive to try to present it as nice as possible to third parties. To take the analogy like dogs, we wouldn't accept if we talk to someone who lives in Schweiz or China who eats dogs that, yeah, like the dogs, they have a pretty good life.
I'm not going to say exactly where I live, Stefan, but let's just say I live where dairy farming and cows, you don't go anywhere without seeing Canada's a dairy farm. Okay. In the way that Mike is, maybe what you're hearing Mike say is the big like corporations versus like the independent farmers. The independent farmers, by and large, are doing things in the most humane way you could possibly think of. But nonetheless, this is also sort of tangential to the overall point that I think we're trying to make in general, which was the telos of Christianity at the end of the day is, I would argue, congruent with what you're concerned with ultimately.
Okay. I think there's a lot of like empirical issues here that we won't be able to settle. So I think you made some good points, but we could move on to the other objections to Christianity, and I'll think over what you said.
Let's just do the resurrection for a little bit, and then we need to move on to another guest. So why don't you what happened? How did early Christianity get started? Because we say the best explanation is the resurrection. What do you say?
something that appeared like a resurrection. A man known as Jesus of Nazareth was killed, and someone who claimed to be him resurrected was found and continued his preaching. It might have been
So
like
An imposter showed up and
Yeah,
pretended to be the resurrected Jesus.
yeah, one version of that is, let's say it's a conspiracy from like Romans who want to pacify Judaism because they find it too aggressive. So they take two slaves who happens to be twins, and they say either you play along or we'll kill both of you. If you either you don't play along and we'll kill both of you, or you play along and we'll kill one of you. And the other one
So-
takes his identity.
The Romans, who were dominating the Jews, decided we need to pacify them. Let's find some guy to pretend to be this Jesus figure. So the Romans did this, by the way. The Romans, are you definitively saying that on your hypothesis, this is what the Romans did?
Not definitely. It could be some other actor, but I believe a local Roman governor is the most. Oh, sorry.
Okay, this is why we're comparing hypotheses. So I need a definitive hypothesis you're going to put forward that's better explaining. You can better explain the data than the resurrection.
Okay, then I'll definitely say the Romans, a local part of their government, not the central government, decided on their own to pacify Jews, particularly religiously fanatic Jews, by making a new addendum to their religion through an extended hoax.
So they didn't do this with Judas the Galilean, though, or the Egyptian prophet, or Theudas, or Simon Bar Giora. Why wouldn't they do it for those guys then?
I'm not familiar with their details.
They're messianic figures in the same time as Jesus. So, like Judas the Galilean is before Jesus. They kill him. So why didn't they just do that to pacify his followers?
No, not to pacify their followers. Sorry, I'm a bit unclear here. What I meant to say is like they see this environment where there are a lot of like messianic figures and a lot of militant religious Jews who want to uprise against them. So they're like, let's fake a messianic figure who for once preaches something along our lines, something in our interests, and we'll fake a couple of miracles by paying actors to pretend to be healed and whatever. We'll kill one of the twins that plays this guy, that plays the messianic figure, and let the other twin take his role after his death.
Why? They had dominated Judea. They had them under their grip. I mean, we see what happens later in 70 AD. There's no reason in any Roman text to think the Romans felt a need to do this with any of their subjects. Why the Jews all of a sudden?
Well, there actually is, for example, I don't remember the details precisely, but there's this anecdote where Pontius Pilatus tries to put in some, I believe Bart Ehrman takes it up in his book, Did Jesus Exist? Not that he's arguing for my case, but it's just a source for it. Where they try to bring in something of Roman statues or whatever of their gods, and the Jews locally had an uprising. So the issue of Jewish fundamentalism could have been a real problem for the Romans.
Was it though? Because it wasn't a problem. Anytime the Rome's response every time when this happened is just send the military in. Judas the Galileans, send the military. Theudas, send the military. The Samaritans, send the military. Like, why all of a sudden do they have? Wait a minute, guys. I got an idea that, by the way, doesn't work. Never posited by any Roman thinker, and yet somehow they're positing this elaborate conspiracy.
Yeah, because let's say they had to call in the military 2 times, and they're like, this costs a lot of money or blood. If we could just trick people into believing a version of their faith that doesn't call for constant uprising against foreign occupiers, then that would be great. So let's just have an addendum.
It didn't work though, because there were more uprisings from after Jesus than before.
Yeah, they could have been stupid. There are a lot of conspiracies who are like misguided and stupid.
Exactly. No, notice what you're doing. You're positing the clever but stupid forger. It's like you're positing someone who's so stupid but also so intelligent. They have this elaborate conspiracy idea. They fool everyone, including Jesus's own disciples. But it's a stupid idea. Why would anyone do that? If they were that clever of a forger, they wouldn't do something as stupid.
Well, you could be clever at tricking people to a certain extent, but then like mess up. There are a lot of like conspiracies from governments trying to kill other heads of state or whatever, like Russia trying to influence the American election or America trying to influence other countries that are sophisticated yet ultimately fail. Like the over one.
You're muted if you're there.
Sorry. Am I still here?
You're here, yeah.
Oh, I apologize. my case was basically, well, you can be sophisticated in a plan, and still the plan can ultimately be stupid. Like trying to interfere with the American election from Russia, or America
I
trying
don't think
to.
I don't think that actually happened. I think, and there's no evidence that other than like just trying to influence the way countries typically do through media and everything.
Okay, sorry. Then let's say trying to assassinate the leader of Cuba. I can't remember his name at the moment. There were like over 100 assassination attempts from CIA.
You know what's great about that example is we know they tried. We don't have, and we have documentation to show it. When it comes to this, we have none. Like again, it's now the super clever, stupid forger that like there's no documentation to support such a wild, crazy theory. But like when your own examples, there's documentation to support it, so it's not even analogous.
Yeah, to clarify, the reason why there wouldn't be documentation is because Rome was an authoritarian state, while America is a democracy. So, and also there's a lot less documentation in that era. And let's say my hypothesis is like really unlikely. Let's say it's like 1 in 1,000% chance or whatever.
It's kind of low, I take it. Okay, anyway, go on.
But in that, I would still argue that it's more likely than Jesus being a supernatural figure.
Okay, so here's the first thing I want to say. Notice what we just did for the past 5 minutes. You had to add on ad hoc explanation upon ad hoc explanation to bring up any objection I got. You accidentally demonstrated for everybody that your explanation violates Occam's razor. You are positing assumption upon assumption upon assumption to make it work. Now, now here's what you say with the whole resurrection thing. When you brought that up, this was a quality thing. Well, it's a resurrection. It's a miracle. But it's not. That's not how the historical criteria work. It's about the quantity of assumptions here. So it's quantity over quality because we can't measure quality without bringing in biases. But you demonstrated that this theory you're presenting is far more ad hoc.
I would disagree with that characterization. I'd say that it wasn't ad hoc additions, it was clarification from my part. And also, I would argue that the resurrection hypothesis does include a lot of assumptions, such as that there is a God and that he performs miracles in the world, etc.
So the first thing I would say is like, that's why we always tend to start with, I thought you said you were a deist, though. You said you were a deist. So I didn't even, if you came in and said I was an atheist, I wouldn't go to the resurrection. I'd go to arguments for God's existence. You already granted that. So that's already in the background knowledge.
Yeah, okay, to clarify, my hypothesis could be true even if I'm wrong about deism. So it doesn't require that particular assumption, which is why I brought it up. Well,
then it's a different conversation because, again, when I'm debating atheists, I first argue for God exists before I even argue for Christianity. You've already granted that. So I'm having the conversation with you in your hypothesis. So you kind of accidentally admitted mine is less ad hoc because God's already in the background knowledge.
Okay, to clarify then from my point, we don't have to assume God in particular then. Let's grant that both sides have that, but we have to assume that Yahweh, the particular Jewish God existing, and God interacting with the universe and all that.
I don't think you have to. Like if you, because there's a difference between deism and theism. I think you would acknowledge that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we assume theism, we don't have to assume Yahweh is equal to theism. But what we can do is make inferences from theism to what kind of actions would God take. And we can and I would argue that we could properly infer that God would choose the best kinds of actions, and those best kinds of actions, I would argue, would be to reveal himself to a people group, bring heaven on earth, become incarnate, defeat death on people's behalf, establish a church, and cooperatively with people achieve this mission, right? And have humanity be co-authors of those things with him. There's a whole string of argumentation for this, but it seems reasonable that a good God would do this kind of a thing.
Well, I would disagree with that. I believe there are other options a good God would try. For example, like writing the New Testament on the moon, or having like angels.
Okay, let's pause right there. Why would a good God choose to write the New Testament on the moon rather than becoming incarnate?
I mean, as a combination. Even if, like, say, Jesus is real and all that, versions of that theory would be more plausible, like if he did these supplementary things, like having people in China see the gospel written on leaves growing on trees naturally or whatever.
So miracle accounts of people that you hear, for instance, of people in China in Christian contexts.
yeah, they do increase the probability of Christianity to a certain extent. The problem is that they're not particularly distinct from other religions. There are people who have miracles experiences.
Oh, I would
of
strongly
Hinduism.
push back against that. I've looked at miracle claims across the world, across many different traditions, and I would argue, at closer investigation, that Christian miracle accounts, by and large, have much more evidential force in their favor.
Okay. Let's assume that's real. Let's get back to the resurrection then, just to clarify the point. Even if I'm wrong, like about the Roman theory in particular, the Talmud argues that Jesus was actually just a guy who learned dark magic. One can assume, like, oh yeah, maybe Loki, the god of trickery from Norse mythology, decided to trick people. Even if we assume there's a supernatural event here,
Yeah, again, this just now gets even ad hoc because again, we're not going to people that were close to the actual events, like the letters of Paul, the Gospels. We're going to the Talmud written hundreds of years later, which is still confirming something divine is going on there. So I mean, like, notice what that kind of is admission. The Talmud has to explain away the fact that he was a miracle worker, so they explain it with dark. This meets criterion of embarrassment. They're admitting he had some sort of divine power behind him.
Yeah, what I'm trying to get to there is that even if we accept Jesus as a paranormal entity, there still seems to be a pretty high bar to assuming that his message is honest, that he doesn't have the paranormal powers. But for, like, let's say his apostles all believe him and are truthful and all that. He could have tricked them. He could have had supernatural powers.
Yeah.
So I
we're gonna
would
wrap
argue
up
that
soon, but-
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna say this fast then. I would argue that your hypothesis would still be more complicated, less parsimonious than the good God hypothesis. If God decides to become incarnate, right, we have very good reason then to think that Jesus is being truthful and all this other stuff, right? But on the hypothesis that somebody that Jesus wants is not God incarnate, he's not being truthful, he's trying to trick people and all this other stuff. Well, now we can ask questions like, okay, well, why did he trick people this way? Do we have any good evidence for thinking he wanted to trick people, et cetera, et cetera? And next thing you know, you're going to have to make a bunch of really, really ad hoc explanations for a bunch of psychological, like, auxiliary theories that you're going to have to be tacking onto this. And at the end of the day, I would argue that's going to be a little bit more difficult more difficult burden to carry, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I see your point. Okay, then if I can end with this. It seems to me that if one religion was the correct one, then we would see that in data when it comes to children dying of cancer and their parents, or whatever diseases affecting children and the parents praying. That the religion that had the right God would probably have a statistically measurable better health outcome for that type of diseases, because God would reward children who've chosen the right religion, if that makes sense.
I'm not going to bite on that because Mike said that he wants to.
Anyway,
so I would just say read Doherty's book, because whatever you just said is transferable from that book too.
Thanks for coming today, man. We got to get to some other guests. We got a lot here today. But I just think what you're presenting is very ad hoc, and even as we go through it and try to account for all the data, it just gets more and more ad hoc at the end of the day. Let me see here. Than, how did you cure your special needs?
It's funny that you assume I cured it. I'm just performing, not being retarded.
Allah made it appear that he has special needs. Yes. You got me into thinking of God as a programmer. I read Genesis through this lens. Looks like light is a stand-in for energy, logos for information. Amazing how that makes sense of the boot up sequence in Genesis. Is this something you did?
No.
I don't.
This is not something I did.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Sounds like something you did, Mike.
Probably.
Your digital physics argument.
I guess you could take that view. I think that's not what the ancient authors are getting at, but I guess maybe, Can you explain why modalism and partialism are bad? I understand they're heretical, but I'm not exactly sure why. So partialism and modalism, for example, from modalism is bad because you make Jesus into schizophrenic. He's praying to himself. The way everyone always straw mans the Trinity. Yeah, that's that right there. Partialism is probably going to be your best bet outside of Trinitarianism, but then you turn God into parts. You make him which doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It really depends on. I'm trying to find a way to answer this part without giving it away, so I'll just try whatever. depending on your religion, on your like Christian tradition, it might not actually, partialism might not actually be heretical. I'll just say this, like it was never formally condemned, depending on the tradition that you hold to. Is that fair?
Whatever. I think it's heretical at the end of the day. So that's just my view, but yeah. Let's see here. That is the most pharisaical thing, by an unclean field with someone else's name so they don't get dirt. Yeah, that's exactly what they were doing. I mean, that's just, it's messed up, but yeah, that's what they were doing. What are you going to do? Ever think that when Momo said that Ezra is the son of God, he just mishearing Ezra for Israel from the Jews? He is still not a prophet. That would be funny if that was the case. Yeah, I could see that. But no, I don't think that's what I think that they just made an error. Bark, bark from the Berg. Well, I like half of that, not the first half, though. So I'll allow it. All right, let us bring up our next guest. Hold on. I have to share my screen for this next guest. So our next guest, I need to announce who it is.
Timothy.
Are you there, Timothy? Timothy.
Is that
Yeah, I'm
Sijuwadi?
here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on?
I'm a big fan of Sijuwadi.
That just
Sorry.
reminds me. Sijuwadi texted me, and I got it.
So, well, if you're a fan of Sijuwadi, are you a Christian?
No, I'm an atheist, but I still love his work nonetheless.
Okay, so why are you an atheist?
Well, I think there's a lot of evidences against theism that confirm atheism. Namely, evil existing seems unexpected in theism, so the evidential problem of evil. And there's other things I can talk about afterwards, but that's what I want to propose for now.
Why would evil not be expected on theism?
Yeah, so the first thing is that, God's all good, right? And it seems like, God's all good just in case he does strictly good actions. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to say God's all good if he does no good actions or no evil actions or just evil actions. You need to do all good actions, strictly good actions. If that's true, given the option space of worlds he could actualize, seems if you would actualize the best possible world, right? So then the question is, why think this will be the best possible world? And there's reasons to believe it wouldn't be the best possible world, given how we calculate.
So what would be the best possible world?
Well, the best possible world to me would be the world in which everyone has dispositions towards retributive goods and only does strictly goods that aren't conditional and evils. That'd be the best possible world to me.
So a world
I think
where
you would agree.
So a world where everybody just does good.
Oh yeah.
They don't have the option to do evil.
Yeah, that'd be a good possible world. That'd be best possible.
Okay, so I don't agree for a number of reasons. So let's start with this. You were assuming in the background an ethical worldview. What is your normative ethical theory?
Yes, I'm under the impression that we ought to do things that increase the general well-being of people. There it is. Right, all else equal, and there's other considerations, hence ceteris paribus clause.
So more like a consequentialist, basically.
Yeah, utilitarians are consequentialists. So yeah.
Okay. So that's what I mean. You're using evil to debunk theism, but you have an assumption already in there. You consequentialism.
Before
theism. Hold on. Theism.
Any further. Okay.
No, let me just finish. Theism does not assume a consequentialism. We would argue that the Bible actually teaches a form of ethics called virtue ethics. If that's the case, you're doing when you're doing this internal critique, you're not even assuming the right form of ethics.
Yeah, I understand that. So firstly, to clarify, I'm under the impression it's the best possible world. It's not to imply it is. So that's an open discussion we can have. Also, I'm under the impression that we agree, I think you guys think at least, gratuitous evils don't exist. The quote-unquote evils that do exist are like non-gratuitous, they have reasons for them.
No.
What do you do exist? Can you define gratuitous evil? Because there's two ways to go about this.
The way I understand the phrase is just any evil thing that has no reason for it as any greater good that occurs from it, consequently. That's what I think it is,
yeah. No, I wouldn't affirm that.
No.
Okay, so things like that.
So let me tidy up the definition a little bit. See if you agree. I would define gratuitous evil as typically understood in evidential arguments from evil as an instance of suffering of which is not necessary for the greater goods it reports to bring about.
Okay, but the way I understand gratuitous evil is where I just define it. So do you agree things like that exist?
Things like what?
Yeah, do you think things like evils in which they don't purport any greater goods exist? That's all I'm asking.
any greater goods whatsoever.
Yeah, any greater good whatsoever, like
No,
forgiveness, mercy, etc.
Yeah, I would disagree that like if you're going to say that those things, those instances where there is just no possible goods that come about from it at any point anywhere in the future, I would say that those don't exist. But if you're using it in the way it's typically understood in terms of necessity, then I would say that those exist. Do you get the distinction there between the two?
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just gonna be using the way I use the way I understand it, because it's still enough for my version of the APOA, seems like. Okay, so you agree those things don't exist, but you think the world's better for it, as in the world's better because there's these non-gratuitous evils in which there are things, good actions or good events that occur. Consequently,
So I would say that the world that we currently occupy is within the boundary conditions of the best kind of world God could create. So this idea that no evil exists, that there is no possible good that can come from it, that's a boundary marker of what kind of world God and what kind of events God would ever allow, right?
Okay, just from my understanding, maybe I can ask you this so I can understand better. So suppose you have two worlds. We have one world in which people only do good things, and they have the disposition towards retributive goods. So if there was like an action, some evil action, they would forgive the person, would do some sort of retributive good. But there is none, so they don't do those things, but do other types of goods.
See,
then we have another world.
Well, let's slow down. Okay, your definition, as I'm understanding it, and Mike, you can stop.
I just don't agree on. I don't agree on how we're defining the word better. But go on.
Well,
how do I define better? Could you tell me?
I'm not even too interested in what
more ethics, more virtues.
Yeah,
I didn't even define better, so I'm not sure what we're disagreeing on.
It's assumed because that's why I mentioned consequentialism earlier. So it's assumed that more well-being.
I don't need to import my normative ethics to get the argument off the ground, though. It could assume yours, and we could just intuition point this.
So then, if you're assuming mine, if you're assuming the world is going to be better, is the one that has more virtues.
Well, that's fine. But I'm trying to ask something to understand, and can I ask the question or not? I'm just
ask a question. Go ahead.
Thank you. So it's the two worlds, just my understanding. We have world A, where we do strictly good actions, but no retributive ones because they require evils, right? They require non-gratuitous evils. Then we have another world in which it's like a lot of good actions, but there's some evils, but those evils are okay because they permit these greater goods, so namely forgiveness, mercy, etc., retributive goods. Which world is better of those worlds?
Again, based on what you said, and let me explain why.
No, based on what you think.
Hold on, I'm going to explain.
That's fine, I agree.
It's the second because you're producing more virtues. In the first one, you can't produce all the types of virtues we have in this world. You can't have courage because there's nothing to be afraid of. You can't have compassion because no one ever is in need of it. So this is what goes back to the basis of it being virtue ethics. If we're defining better within the theistic worldview, it's the world that's going to produce the best kind of virtues, the best kind of soul building. So that's important there. And that is going to, on that case, you're going to expect a world that is going to allow for evil and suffering because it's going to be a better world because it's going to produce more virtues ultimately in the long run.
Okay. So I'm going to say what I understand and tell me if I'm wrong, right? So one thing that makes this world better is that it seems like there's some goods that couldn't occur in the first world, but they can occur in the second world. And that's because you can actually actualize this disposition towards these retributive goods, like forgiveness, mercy, etc. Whereas in the first one, you can't because no non-gratuitous evil is so likely to actualize things like forgiveness. Is that the general idea? Am I wrong?
That's your rough estimate of it, yeah.
All right, great. So it just seems like then God's only maximally good, just in case. He doesn't only have the disposition towards forgiveness, but he actually does forgive. Do you agree with that?
You're talking kind of fast. Say that again.
Yeah, so it seems like this committee to the view that a being is better, just in case they don't only have the disposition towards these retributive goods, but also on top of that, they actualize them. Because if that wasn't true, then the first order would be better. Or at least it would be equal.
I'm not following what this has to do with which world is better.
Well, I'll tell you the relevance. So if you think it's true that world B is better because there are these types of evils that allow us to commit these certain goods, which I call retributive goods as shorthand, there seems like you'd also agree a being's better, just in case they conduct, wait, sorry, I didn't finish. So what are you objecting to?
You switch it to being. You switch it to being, but continue.
Oh, no. I'll explain. You can tell me if you reject this, right? It seems like this commits you to the view that a being's better, not only if they have the disposition towards these retributive goods, but also if they can actualize it, and they do actualize it. If that wasn't true, then it seems like world B would actually not be the better world.
So if I'm trying to understand your argument correctly, you're saying that God is not the best kind of possible being because he's not able to express those kind of virtues.
No, I mean, he used to not be prior to creation, but now he is. I can maybe grant he is now, right? It seems like. But that just implies that him being the greatest possible being, or the greatest being in this world, is conditional on creation. Because once he introduces creation, there are evils he can now forgive and conduct these retributive goods towards.
So this is why I said you switched it from world to being, and that's important because there's a difference between the greatest possible being and the greatest kind of world that the greatest possible being could produce.
I'm not conflating them. I'm saying it follows from that, by the way. But sorry, continue.
It does not follow because there are different types of
What's
things.
what's the
Mhm.
inference chain here?
If it doesn't follow, I don't know what inference change is supposed to mean, but if it doesn't follow, then it
Well,
also isn't true that world B is better.
if you're saying something follows, there's a chain of inferences, right?
And we
From
didn't see
premises
that. Oh, yeah.
that you're making, right? I'm just
It's an
wondering what
inference
your
change, not a
inference
chain
chain
of
is.
inferences. At least inference change, sorry. Well, yeah, I think we can
Oh, no,
trust
you're
and mode opponents, right? So if it is true that world B is better, then beings that conduct not only retributive goods, but also have the disposition towards them, or sorry, vice versa, are better beings. Obviously, you can modus ponens from there. So the antecedent's true, thus the consequence is also true, given the conclusion.
So this is a
how to express
non
it.
sequitur.
Mhm.
This is a non sequitur. So there's a difference between the greatest possible being and the greatest kind of world a being could produce. So, for example, we don't say God contains all types of values. We don't. We say that. So this is some people bring up that argument. It's not yours, but it's like, well, why would God ever create anything if he's perfect? Because there's value in producing other things. There's value in producing like a world where beings go through soul building. There's value in producing lesser creatures that that do things that maximally great being could not do. It's different types of values. So, for example, you could take like the artists, for example, let's say what is it again, Pascal or something? No, what is the guy's name? Picasso, who didn't produce like the most exquisite realistic works, but there's still value in his art, even though it's less realistic in how it looks. So that's the first thing to think about is first how value is going to play into this. The greatest possible being can produce a world that is going to include soul building, and there's value in that, and it can be better in terms of what it produces. But that has no reflection on the ontology of the being itself, that somehow the being has to go through these processes to not be the greatest possible being. Because again, there's a difference between being and world.
Yeah. Okay. I think I understand that. But let's get the conditional situated first, because that's what you're rejecting. That's the initial thing you're rejecting, which is namely that it follows from the world thing that the being thing is also true. So from my understanding, tell me if I'm wrong here, this world B is better because, well, the better is that they actually actualize retributive goods. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? Am I good now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I just want to get the conditional situated first, because once we get that, I think the rest follows. So, the only difference between world A and world B is that in world B, they actually do actualize the retributive goods. So in world A, they have the disposition towards it, they have good natures, they do good things, but not retributive goods like forgiveness, etc. But world B, they do that. And that's what makes the world better, because they're only morally relevant to difference in that world. So then if you think that's what makes the world better, because that's the only thing that can make it better, then you would also think, no, then it's just not better then.
You said the word only.
That's the only difference.
I don't think it's the only thing. There are other ways the world can be made better.
But then there's another difference I didn't stipulate. So they were actually responding to something I didn't make, by the way. Because the hypothetical I constructed is such that the only difference between world A and world B is that in world B, they actually do strictly conduct these retributive goods. Oh, sorry, they do conduct retributive goods. That's the only difference. In world A, they're still good people in some sense. They do good things, but no forgiveness, none of that, because no evils to forgive, right?
Yeah.
Just as an example. Yeah.
So, I mean,
so then to say world B is better, so assume that the difference is what makes it better. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
The difference is that world B includes types of goods that are not constituted in world A, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, how do we catch how included? Because there's a sense in which it's included in world A, but I agree it's not included in some sense because they don't actualize in world A. In fact, they can't actualize in world A because no evil is to respond.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
But world B, they do. Yeah, then it seems like you're still falling into what I'm saying, because the difference here is just that they can actualize these things, and that's the only difference.
Yeah, but
So
how are you getting from world B being better than to God not being perfect.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you that. So long as you agree with the conditional, then the following is true. God is the best possible being in this world, just in case he not only has a disposition, but also actualizes things. Given some other conditions, right? There's some other things that are required there, but that's one thing that must be true. But it seems like God could only conduct these retributive goods if there's things to forgive, things to be merciful to, etc. But he couldn't forgive the person, so they're sinless, right? So he needs to introduce creation, but they do sin. So God being the best possible being in this world is conditional on creation, because otherwise he couldn't be the best possible being, because he couldn't conduct these retributive goods. And if you
because
disagree with
you're confusing
that,
action
and you,
with ontology. You're confusing action with ontology. What God's actions are going to be.
well,
in
how
world
can
B-
someone act without?
Hold up. We let you
Mhm.
talk for a little bit. Let me explain. What God's actions, he's going to make the greatest possible actions in response to world B. Now, his actions are contingent, but his ontology isn't, because he's still a maximally great being. So don't confuse the actions the being would take in both worlds with his specific ontology.
When I say God's better because he does X, how it introduces ontology or actions? How is it introducing that?
Well, you because you're saying he's doing something. So
That introduces
he
actions.
does-
That's for sure. But where's the ontology coming into this?
because you could have, for example, the world. Let me give you an example. You could have you could say that, let's say you create a world and you put in that world, God puts in that world the greatest possible painter, but he never actually paints. Okay, he is the greatest possible, he is the ontology of the greatest painter, but he never actually makes an action. Is he still the world's great? Is he still the greatest possible painter?
Given your view, he wouldn't be. So long as
No,
he's
he
an
would-
actual analog.
No, that's where the misunderstandings come. Yes,
Well,
he would be.
then
'Cause he still
world
has
A is
the
equally.
essence of-
Then
he still has
world
the
A will
essence
be
of
equal
hold
or
up.
greater.
He still has the greatest essence, even if he doesn't do any actions. What you keep doing with God in these two worlds, world A and world B, is you're equating actions with his ontology. That doesn't follow. There's the non sequitur right there.
But here's the crucial mistake. If you think it's true that the world's greatest painter is the greatest painter without painting, or you could say it's like part of his essence, whatever, that's fine. That's just to imply that for world A, where we also have the greatest possible beings that are conducting these, retributive goods, then that world should be equal, if not better than world B. In the same way, oh yeah, I'll tell you why. Because the beings there, in the same way the painter's really, really good, but they're also really, really good. Because they haven't conducted it, because they do good things, they don't conduct any bad actions. And also it doesn't seem like the difference in them doing the action not makes them better or not, because also for the painter, he hasn't done the action of painting, but he's still really, really good in the same
And
way.
you're still conflating beings or essences
Can
with
you
the
quote what I
actual
said?
world
Can you
itself.
quote
Listen,
Baron,
man.
can you quote what I said that conflates him, please? Just give me a quote real quick.
Yes, because again, you place the painter in the world.
I need
And
a
then you
quote.
said,
That's
well-
okay, because I'm not following.
No,
Can you give me a quote?
Quote exactly what you said. No, I don't have a photographic memory.
Can you maybe paraphrase what I said and explain how that convinced you to that view?
Yeah, so if you place the painter in both worlds, they're both still somehow great, and therefore you're trying to say the worlds are equally the same.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. So maybe a response
not
works.
making any
The straw man,
sense.
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
Are
is
you saying that in world A, God is not as good as he is in world B because he's not exemplifying forgiveness in world A or something like that? Like, is this ultimately the objection you're trying to get at?
Well, I'm not mentioning God just yet, but that's for the beings, and that's what you're committed to. Because the only difference here, the only difference between world A and world B is that in world B they do exemplify, the actual actions of being forgiving, etc. Whereas in world B they don't. Right? That's the only difference. And that according to you, that makes world B better. So it seems like doing the action is better than not
Wait.
doing it. even
Okay,
if it's
by the word
towards
better,
action.
all I mean is more valuable. I'm speaking in terms of axiology.
Yeah.
So
Or you can see in
world
terms of
B
axiology,
is
but
more worth pursuing than world A.
in pain of equivocating, this will still imply that on your view, world B is better because of the actions conducted. And then the better there is
Of
what
the
lets us
values
the
that are
inference out of the
exemplified.
space of options. Well, hold on. Out of the space of options, out of the option space, right? God has conducted the best possible action. Or at least the best action he could conduct, or at least one of the equally good actions, right? So
Yeah, creating a
in pain
world
of-
in which which is the best possible kind of world.
Okay. I'm not telling it's not hard. This is hard to understand. But okay, so let me maybe you can walk through this one more time and tell me if I'm confused. So we agree that world B is better, correct? At least I'm just supposing we.
I would
in
say
the
world
sense
B is
that it's more
intrinsically more
valuable.
worth pursuing than at world A.
It's
and
more
that
valuable.
justifies God conducting, creating a world, adjacent to
Not
world
by
B as opposed
itself.
to world
I have
A.
a mediating
Oh no,
proposition.
of course, there's other things, right? But all else equal, right? It seems like it would justify God creating world B over world A, right?
Do you care about the mediating proposition at all? Or
Well, I said ceteris paribus, so I could care about it and also think it's not relevant currently.
okay, sure.
Great. Okay, so now it seems like that's only true just in case it's better in the relevant sense. Now, however you define that's fine, but in the relevant sense. Now, if that's true, and the only difference between A and B is that in B, the agents conduct the actions of forgiveness because there are these evils that allow that are the, let's say, intermediaries for that. That's just to imply that a world's better just in case people actually conduct the actions, right? They actually conduct the actions. Now, if you think it's true that beings conducting actions, let's say being A and being B, a being conducting the action that's a retributive good as opposed to being A, who doesn't do that thing but has the same nature roughly, then you also think that that being B is better. You should always think being B is better. If you don't accept that, then you shouldn't think that world A is better, mainly because it's the beings in that world that are the difference in, namely their actions. That's what's constituting the difference that makes it better. Sorry if that was quite long. Yeah.
Yeah. It again. You then shifted back to actions. You keep conflating the whole beings and actions. Yeah. Okay. So again, here's what we're saying. Let me explain to you very clear. World A, you could have, for example, God. Okay. He's still the greatest possible being. Okay. But his actions are not going to be nearly as good as how he interacts with beings in world A versus world B. The actions are going to be more valuable overall because worlds are different than beings. So God is going to create world B because he'll have more valuable actions, but he's still the greatest possible beings in both worlds.
Yeah, so in Pendulum equivocating, so long as you think that better has been cashed on the same way that lessons to the inference that it's actually spectrum theories in this world would exist, then whether it's valuable or not does not matter. So long as it's better, quote unquote, value-wise or axiology-wise, which I think is the same thing, then it's still true that if it's not a better world, then God wouldn't actualize that world. So this actually doesn't really matter. But what matters,
it absolutely does matter. Because we're talking about which world is more valuable.
It sounds like that at the end of the day, your objection is exactly what I said it was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what was my objection? Can you repeat it? Oh, paraphrase.
Yeah, the paraphrase version again is that on our account, since world A is not as intrinsically worth pursuing as world B, there's something about that tells us that God is not perfect.
No, no one's saying that.
Okay, then.
Well, this is just confusion.
Let's
just.
I've been trying to nail down our definitions and the fundamentals and stuff like that for a while here. So. Okay,
I'll ask a question just so I understand. Wait, you understand this. Dan, what is objective Bayesianism?
I would agree with Nevin Klimenhaga with epistemic probabilities being degrees of support over degrees of belief.
Oh, that's true. Both subjective and objective Bayesianism. So you don't know what objective Bayesianism is, but that's fine.
All right, man. Yeah. So it sounds like you.
I'm not playing these passive aggressive games anymore.
Yeah.
We're not getting anywhere. Hey, Thin and Mike, I love your educational faith strengthening content. Consider joining the academy. How exactly do lessons go? God bless.
How do the lessons go? I don't know how to answer that question. In terms of if you're just asking how the courses will be taught, if that makes sense, you'll have notes, there'll be videos, and then you'll have access to different scholars as well that are helping us put those together. Weekly calls to help us.
You'll be on the weekly calls that you can ask us questions and everything. Yeah. Orthodox abstain from meat for roughly half the year. That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of fast days in Orthodoxy. My 3 doubts. Jesus seems like a masochist for allowing his crucifixion. Okay. Well, first off, no, he's doing that for our benefit. If I jump in front of a train or if I jump in front of a bullet to protect someone, am I a masochist? No, I'm trying to help someone. 2, thought I had to abandon reason to believe. Well, you obviously don't. I also found Christians to be fake and cruel or just ignorant. So, excuse me. The last one's just anecdotal. People are just bad. That would affirm the idea of that we're all of a sinful nature at that point. The greatest couples in modern apologetics, Mr. and Mrs. Logic, Giant Doc, and whoever this is. I don't know who this is at the end there, so we'll move on because it seems kind of weird. Hi, Mike. I'm agnostic, but I really appreciate your good faith content. I struggle with Bible, authorship, Trinity, and editions of the Bible. I also feel a pull towards Islam, apologetics, hell, life. What books would you recommend? Well, check out Chris Frost's book, The Islamic Dilemma, because Islam is the most obvious false religion on planet Earth. You can debunk it in less than 2 minutes, but the Islamic Dilemma doesn't work. I mean, there's really no reason. There's also no evidence for Islam. What is the evidence that some illiterate caravan robber in the 7th century was really getting revelations from God when he constantly contradicts the prior scriptures, claims to be in line with? There's no reason. He gives no evidence. So weigh the evidence. There's nothing there. I struggle with check out my series. Go to the channel. I'm just pulling it up here for you. So if we go to the channel, if you go over here, so here's the channel. If you go to the playlist section, go down to here, the reliability of the Gospels, watch this series. That should help you with authorship, supposed editions, all that stuff. Check that out there. Help that. Check out some of the books in there for that stuff. So hopefully that helps you there. All right, let's bring in our next guest. Modern sortal predicate. Modern sortal predicate, are you there? Modern sortal predicate going once.
Oh man, if this is gonna be a relative identity thing.
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so look, the Trinity's false, man.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Why?
What is happening?
Yeah, so there exists no formal language in which you express the Trinitarian sentences and they evaluate to truly understand. That's correct.
There's no formal language for the Trinity. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, it's the upper team, and the upper team is just saying that it's contradictory because there exists no model in which evaluates as true.
So, for example, if a language can't, for example, if a language doesn't have future tense, does that mean the future doesn't exist?
No, you're just confused. It's not the problem. The UPT. The UPT is just concerned with whether the same.
Yeah, so I'm done with this one. I'm not going to have that conversation. Like, oh my, what a stupid argument, man. AJ, are you there?
I knew what it was going to be right away.
Oh.
I hear. Sorry, AJ. Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, nothing. I just, well, yeah, I am an atheist.
Sorry to hear that.
Fairly recently. Yeah, my thing with the whole, I just had too many problems with Christianity, to be honest. I just, well, I started Christianity when I was 17. I joined the church. I read the Bible, and then I've had questions, and I went to my pastors about it, and then I noticed I actually knew more about the Bible than my pastors did.
Okay.
That was kind of weird to me, and I just saw so many problems within it because the church I was in really fell apart at one point. I mean, we had a youth ministry that just, it started out awesome, really did. It like 70 odd children at the first thing, and then elders in the church weren't happy with the way things were going, and then they thought no, they weren't, there was an Anglican church, it wasn't their style, and then they canceled it.
So it sounds like you just had a bad experience because people are sinful.
But that was necessarily the start of it. But then I eventually noticed a few things about Christianity that I just didn't like.
Like what? Like let's talk about that, because we can't help you with your experience. People suck. I've been in churches that suck, And I don't ever blame that on the gospel. I blame that on people. I mean, I would expect that to be the case if we're all sinners. So, like, what are some of the things we can help? Like, what are the things you think didn't make sense?
Well, initially, like for instance, like the whole belief to salvation thing, because I don't see that as fair if belief is not a choice. If I can't choose to believe something that I don't think is true, then should I be punished for it?
So, if you're a non-resistant non-believer, basically.
Yes.
So here's what. Let's go to some verses here then. Let's start with the gospel. Let me just type these in. John 41. Ignore the stupid ad. 15:22. Romans 5:13 and Acts. I think it's Acts 17:30. So let's put these verses up. So Jesus is talking about. He's talking about the Pharisees here. He says, Jesus said to them, if you were blind, you would have guilt. But now that you say, we see, your guilt remains. So if they were blind, they would have not have had guilt. John 15:22. If I had not come and spoken to them, they would not have been guilty of sin, but now they have no excuse. So you need to be made aware of your sin in order to be guilty. Romans 5:13. For sin indeed was in the world before the law was given, but sin is not counted where there is no law. Acts 17:30, the times of ignorance God overlooked, but now he commands all people everywhere to repent. So if you're truly ignorant, if you're truly somebody who just, you got an excuse, God's not going to judge you for that.
Okay. Because the other thing is like what I had a discussion with someone as well was like, if they said like Jesus took my punishment, but then it was the case of what was the punishment. He was tortured for a few hours. He spent 3 days in hell. So then is that the punishment? If I had to die, like say I wasn't, do I get tortured for a few hours, spend 3 days in hell, then am I redeemed?
So
it's
the Bible says the wages of sin is not torture. The wages of sin is death. Jesus died for us. So we don't say Jesus was tortured. The Bible says he died for us. So what hell is not a chamber you're thrown into against your will. Hell is a freely chosen identity built on something else besides God going on forever. So if you reject God, you're going to worship something, whether it's yourself or money, a career, a passion, a family member, a spouse. You take a good thing, you turn it into an ultimate thing, that becomes your identity. That's all that hell is. It's that same thing going on forever till it disintegrates you. So C.S. Lewis said, when it comes to the doctrine of hell, it is itself a question. What are you asking God to do, AJ? To wipe out past sins and give them a fresh start? He did on Calvary. To forgive them, they don't want to be forgiven. To leave them alone, that's what hell is. There were only two kinds of people in the end, those who say to God, thy will be done, and those to whom God says in the end, thy will be done. All that are in hell choose it. Without that self-choice, there could be no hell.
Okay.
So just to summarize, hell is not hell is the consequence of sin, but it's our own choosing. The wages of sin is death. But when you die, if you rejected God, you go to be in separation from him because you've rejected him. It's what you want, basically.
Okay. Because there was another thing, something that really grips me, like actually quite hard, is the fact that I think so many people around me that I truly love and care about, but are not Christian. I mean, there was a time I tried to convince them and they just couldn't be convinced. I take my granddad for one, the rock and anchor of my family. And then I think of like my best friend who's a Muslim. I still think his beliefs are weird, but he's still one of the nicest, kindest people you could possibly meet. And for me, I kept thinking to myself, could I me being in heaven and all these people I care about being in hell, could I truly be happy? Could I truly feel joy, or will I just feel guilt forever?
So
knowing
here's what I say about that. If hell is rejecting God, you build an identity on something else besides God going on forever. That slowly changes people. So think of a woman who marries a man. Starts out great, but then later throughout the marriage, he gets abusive and it gets awful. So what does she do? She leaves. That's not the man she married. He has become a monster. C.S. Lewis said that every one of us is if you accept God, I'm paraphrasing, but you become something so amazing that you would, if you saw it now, you'd be tempted to worship it, or you're going in the opposite direction. The Christian message is that when people reject God, as they continue on, they become something they never were. They've rejected everything good in them, which was given to them by God, and they become a monster. That's what hell does to people. And so what we realize in heaven is that everything we loved about them had an ultimate source in God, and that's what makes us truly happy. So, it's like the same people that, like have family members that say, hey, listen, I grew up with this person. I love them. They were a sibling, but now they got addicted to drugs and now they're in a gang and they're doing these. That person is dead. They've become something awful. I can't be around them anymore. That's what we say happens to people. So, I mean, like, if you choose God, you're accepting that he is the true source of your happiness. He's the true source of all that's good. And you recognize that. And you recognize these other people, they've rejected God. They've abandoned everything that was good in them. And that's what the process of hell would do.
AJ, do you like reading at all?
Yeah, when I get the time.
There's this is one of my mentors who wrote this book. It's called The Image of God. Her name is Dr. Eleanor Stump. And the subtitle is The Problem of Evil and the Problem of Mourning. It actually specifically speaks on the topic that you're asking about as well. The trouble is digging into this on a stream's just not going to be doable because I'm going to have to get into dorky stuff and yap for a bunch of time. And I'm pretty sure you don't want to be at that for a while. So I'm recommending a book. If you truly want to look into something like that.
Okay. It's just one more thing, if possible.
Yeah, last question, and we'll move on.
It's also like, my thing is like, when I see, it almost feels like certain people were made or created specifically to go to hell, and like as if they had no choice. Like if I try and think now, someone like I almost came to, I don't know if I still do, like, does free will truly exist in a truly contingent universe? Because I think now, if you take Adolf Hitler, for example, probably one of the most evil people you could possibly meet. But now, if you put yourself in that position, same DNA, same background, everything biologically about you was him. And you grew up the same environment and everything, would you have turned out any different? What made you make the decisions you did and not someone else?
So, I mean, this is a whole can of worms in and of itself. So the first thing we would say is that depends on what you mean by what you are. If you're defining the soul as the collection of your thoughts, your dreams, your emotions, your dispositions, your memories, your personality, I would say that's what your soul is. So that soul has built up. So basically it's like a bucket of water. Let's just use this. You put like, so you go through you're going through your day today. You're building memories. You're probably building great memories right now talking to us. I'm joking, but anyway, and those memories are going into the bucket, drops of water. You can't take the drops out once they go into the bucket because they become holistic. They become one thing. That's kind of like the soul as well. When your personality, your dreams, your thoughts, your hopes, your emotions, your memories, these all go into a thing that is your soul. That thing over time. So when you start as a kid, I would say you have a lot less ability to express your free will. But the more that soul develops, the more that soul can then express its free will and start to act on its own. I mean, the Bible talks about this age of awareness. They can now choose right and wrong at some point with the kids. So that's the thing. So let's take Adolf Hitler. There were dispositions, there were things that went into him. But at some point in his life, he had developed enough that he could start expressing his free will, and then he starts choosing certain things to bring into his soul that then make him go a certain way. So we say in Christianity, you participate in your own soul building. He participated in his soul building in the worst possible ways. So that's what's going on there. I think that there is a free will, because but I don't think you can really compare free will to anything, because it is in of itself its own. It's an ability of consciousness, and therefore it's in its own category, if that makes sense. But this is a whole can of worms that I don't know if we have time to go into, really.
No. Okay, I get you, because there was a time like I really tried to hold on to belief. I actually ended up joining a cult eventually.
Okay.
Trying to. No, I'm not lying. I actually did. This I joined I didn't know it was a cult at first. I thought I was just joining a Bible study.
I would hope you wouldn't go into like, yeah, I'm going to go. This is a cult. I know it is, and I'm going to go join it.
No.
That's how it always starts. It always starts with, let's do a little Bible study. Next thing you know, they're inviting you to the orgy. You got to pay $10,000. That's how it works.
I'm not lying. These people actually literally think their pastor is fulfilling Revelation. He is the second coming of Jesus, well, the promised pastor in Revelation. They all believe it.
Makes sense, yeah.
But anyway,
here's what I would ask you. I ask you to do something for me, AJ. Go to a different church. Just go visit some churches. Don't become a member of a church today. Visit some churches, maybe a Catholic church, maybe a Lutheran church, maybe an Anglican church, maybe even a Baptist church. Just visit some, talk to people, get involved in a community. Because I think you got a good head on your shoulders. I just think you had a bad experience, and I think you just need to find a good community that can help you grow.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that for me?
Okay, yeah.
That's all. I think that's all you got to do. And we'll pray for you. Pray to God, ask that he will guide you. Because I think, we're going to have bad experiences. It happens. But we need to try to stay in the faith as best as we can and not let people sway us, especially on our faith.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for coming, man. We'll keep you in our prayers for sure. I hope you have a good day.
Okay.
Okay, he's gone. I thought he had more to say, but anyway. All right. Let's do some super chats to bring up Azen and then Kareem. Oh, wait, Kareem left. Dang it. Okay. Kareem, if you're watching, I was going to bring you up after Azian. So come back to me. Come back to me, baby. Baby, come back.
Stop. You can't do it at the same time as me.
This guy, militaries are expensive. Yes, today it is. Back then, large amounts were subsidized by looting, pillaging, and selling of prisoners as slaves. Yes. Very much true. Very much true. Boosting this, please make a video addressing this claim that Cyrus was a better Messiah than Jesus. What? And that sounds incredibly stupid. Timothy, read Planting as God, Freedom, and Evil. Well said. Hey, I'm sorry about the super chat about the sun blowing up 2 weeks ago. Was having difficulty understanding some of my views of the end times. No worries. I hope we helped you. I can affirm Mike and Than. Okay, I'm done with this. I'm not gross, man. Weirdos. I listen.
Get your sick fantasies out of here, okay?
Yeah, you're not a Muslim. I don't go to the gym because too many out of shape people. This is true. That's a good point. That's a good reason I don't go to the gym. Yes. What to do with the genocide in the Old Testament? Saul killing of the Amalekites, God commanded the killing of the firstborn in Egypt, and
Our
picking of
stream
God
is a
killing
really
billions.
good place to start.
What's that?
That stream that we did with Joel Koretko is a really good place to start. And on top of that, oh, good. I was just going to say.
I got it right here. I got to show everybody. Share this tab. Boom. Boom. There it is. Watch that stream. Go on. What were you saying?
Then I was just going to say, if you want to read any good books on this, I would read Bloody, Brutal, or Barbaric from William J. Webb. And then there's another very good book that I would say, what's the name of it? Matthew Lynch is the scholar.
Oh yeah, Flood and Fury.
What's the name of the book?
Flood and Fury.
There you go. Yeah, those two books are great.
Cool. All right. Azian, are you there? Aizen. How do you ever say that? Aizen. Blue raspberry. All right. No, we cannot hear you. Go back out. Here's what I'm saying. Go back out and come back in because sometimes StreamYard gets kind of weird. So just go back out, come back in. I'll do another super chat while you figure that out. So see, he's running. Hell is the result of God not willing to force any soul to be with him if they don't wish so. Exactly. That's what hell is. That's all hell is, ladies and gentlemen. Steelman of Timothy's point, I believe he was saying that if God can create people with infinitely good ontologies, then world A would be just as good, purely because people would have the ontology of mercy, etc. Will.
No, okay.
Go ahead.
The difference here is between a subject's intrinsic like moral constitution and then the actual axiological like history that being would actually exhibit or bring about. So there's a strict difference between the two. One is going to be about the intrinsic constitution, and the other is about actions that actually contribute to the world in particular different ways and history and stuff like that.
And I would say on this point, I mean, again, it's a difference between ontology and world. You can have a world A where you have all those ontologies, but you're not going to produce the same amount of value you would in world B, where you have triumph and you have the defeat of evil. So it's about the process of world B, which you're not going to get in world A, which he kept going back and forth on. And that's why we just kicked him. I was getting frustrated with him not following. All right. Is that you there?
Yes, it's me. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
What's your name?
It's Aizen.
Aizen. What is your religious view?
Well, I'm here to present an argument against Christianity, but I'm actually, I am Christian myself.
Okay. We're talking to non-Christians today.
Okay, well, that's all then.
Okay. Guys, only come up if you're non-Christian. We're trying to talk to people. Darth Thronez, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Are you a Christian?
No.
Okay. I wasn't sure about some of the stuff you were saying in the private chat. I only glanced a couple times, but what is your religious background or view?
I guess you can call me a pagan.
Okay. All right. So my first
Wait,
question.
what kind of
Hold
pagan?
on.
Wait. What do you mean? What about questions?
I got a question for you, real quick.
That's why
real
I'm not a
quick.
Christian. It's not what.
Okay.
It's not a question of the pagan.
Okay. No. Here's a question. Who invented Christmas?
I have no clue.
Okay, I'll allow you to stay. All right, you're welcome. If you would have said West pagans, it'd have been over, but no, you're allowed. Okay. So why are you a pagan?
Well, the question is,
I want to
the
know
prompt
what
is
kind
why
of
I'm
pagan
not a
he is
Christian.
too.
Oh, okay. Well,
Wait.
just curious, what kind of pagan are you?
Yeah, I want to know what kind
where
of
you're
pagan
coming
you
from.
are and everything. Look, why you're not a Christian is going to be partly due in part to what kind of beliefs you actually do have too, right? So we want to know who we're talking to so we can compare our two hypotheses.
Well, I think you figure out why I'm a pagan because why I'm not a Christian. So it follows from me not being a Christian that I will be a pagan, right?
I exactly why I'm asking what kind of a pagan you are.
I'm curious more than anything.
Yeah.
Well, I would say a pagan just means somebody who doesn't believe in the Abrahamic religions.
I
the main
understand that,
religions.
but there's different types of pagans. For instance, I have a friend of mine that's a Kemetic pagan.
I don't know what that is.
He worships Egyptian gods. I'll just keep
No,
it there.
I'm not somebody who worships like the Egyptians, the Greek, or
I'm
like the Hindus.
So this is
I'm a
why the word
Valarian
pagan's
pagan.
not really telling us much. We want to know
Well,
what it is
that's
that you
not the-
believe.
Like that's not the prompt.
I'm a Valarian pagan, by the way. I worship the Valar of
I can
Middle
tell.
Earth.
Okay, I can tell.
Joking.
I worship the most ancient god.
Okay, so you're a deist then. It sounds like.
A deist.
Why
No,
don't you
the-
tell,
yeah.
wait, can you just explain to me or help me understand what
Okay,
your
you
resistance
understand-
is to telling me what you believe about the world?
No,
Like,
I
we're not
told
gonna
you.
flip it on you. Like, if you're scared that we're gonna flip that on you and put the burden on you, that's not gonna happen.
Look, I
right?
already told you. I already answered that question. I believe in the most ancient God.
Okay, what
So if you look at the
What does that mean?
cultures, okay, if you look at the cultures from all around the world, for example, in Greek, in Egyptian, and Chinese, they all have a hierarchy of gods, right? They all have a pantheon, but within their pantheon, they still believe that there's one ultimate that is above all. That's what I mean by
Yeah,
my form of
okay.
paganism.
How is
Cool.
this?
So one God, do you just worship that
Okay,
one
now-
God?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Now can we get to the prompt?
Deist. Got it. Good.
That's not deist.
Whatever. Go on. What did you want to say?
Okay, before we start, do you think contradictions falsify a position?
No.
Okay,
What do you
I mean,
by-
if you don't
what
think
do you mean? Are you
contradictions
talking about like
falsify
biblical
contradiction, what's the
contradictions,
point
or are
of
you
debating?
talking about? I'm asking a clarifying question. Are you talking about like a biblical contradiction, or are you talking about contradictions that are like
Logical,
with?
any kind.
All right, how about I finish my
physical-
question? Like, slow down. Your life is not in danger right now. You're safe, so you don't have to be all antsy and anxious with us. Okay, just chill
I'm
out.
not, dude. I answered the
You're
question.
acting like it.
Well, look, I said logical. I was like,
Okay,
what kind of
great.
contradictions?
So internal logical contradictions within the broader
Anything-
worldview. Is that what you're talking about?
Look, any contradiction. It could be a physical contradiction, a logical contradiction.
No, let me give you an example as to why. Because let's say, for example, like it as commonly comes up in police reports, you have eyewitness testimonies to a robbery, and sometimes their stories contradict. That does not mean the robbery did not occur. So unless you're going to specify, you're just talking about contradictions generally. We have to say, no, they don't prove something as false unless you specify more specifically. If there's like a logical contradiction, then yeah, that could falsify a belief depending on how it's phrased and
No.
used.
For example, a physical piece of evidence in that investigation would falsify any claim made by the accuser.
Depends on the claim, it depends on the contradiction.
Exactly. So any if the accuser makes an accusation and the cops have physical evidence, that would contradict their story. So it would falsify the accuser.
Okay, that doesn't hint to my point.
This
but
is
what-
okay.
what-
This is why I was asking the original question about whether or not you're talking about biblical contradictions or if you're talking about like a worldview in of itself. I would also just add on a caveat that internal contradictions or data contradictions are not going to necessarily falsify the hypothesis, because you have to figure out whether or not
Okay.
the core hypothesis is being falsified or some sort of auxiliary.
Do you think logical contradictions, physical contradictions, biblical contradictions, or any what contradictions don't falsify the Bible?
Oh my!
Depends on the
I think that'd be a lot
contradiction. It
easier.
depends on the claim. So, for
Yeah.
example,
No,
let's
you're
let-
just saying you
let
have
me-
double
let me-
standards here.
I'm about
No,
to give
it
you an
actually
example.
really does depend. So like if you
That's
like
double
if you
standard.
take like a cursory look at the philosophy of science, for instance, right? There's the standard model of not the standard model of particle physics. The standard solar model is the textbook example. Okay. We have a hypothesis for the standard solar model. It predicts X amount of neutrinos being observed. And then what ended up happening, we did not observe the amount of neutrinos that we anticipated. That by all means contradicts the standard solar model. That should have falsified things. However, things are not that simple. What did the scientists do? They thought maybe one of our testing instruments isn't picking something up, and maybe there's multiple types of neutrinos. So we need to figure out another instrument to detect different types of neutrinos. Guess what happened? They did that. And then the standard solar model actually was not falsified. It was confirmed. It was just one of the auxiliary assumptions that was wrong. This is why the context matters as to whether or not a contradiction is going to falsify something or not.
No, you're not saying there was a contradiction. There was just there was a false
The data
assumption.
contradicted. Yeah, exactly. The data
That was a false
contradicted
assumption.
everything.
No, that's not a contradiction. It's a false assumption.
Will you just try to make your argument here, or are we just going to keep?
I'm trying to get
playing-
to it, man. But like you guys have just stated to me that logical contradictions don't falsify the Bible. So what's the point of even debating when you don't think logical
Okay,
contradictions
great.
falsify it?
That relies on an assumption. It sounds like why would a contradiction in the Bible falsify the Bible?
Is it your? No, I have to get that from you. Do you guys think logical contradictions falsify the Bible? Because if you don't actually believe that, what's the
If you're
point of
not-
even debating with you?
Here's the thing: are you going to make your argument or not?
What a stupid question. Like, wait,
you don't believe
what's the point of debating with me? Because fine,
I'm done. Just make an argument. I literally just make the argument here. I will listen to your argument and we can debate it. Notice how the first guy came in, modern atheism. He's like, let me just like,
dude, it's like snowballing into more and more chaos today. Oh my gosh.
Just make the argument, man. All right, I'm gonna let this guy up because I like his name, Michael.
Mikhail. No, it's Mikhail.
No. Go, loop back around on me, please. I got something to do real quick. It's the worst time.
Hey, you sound cool, bro. Dang.
Succulent
Chinese meal. I'm
What's
telling
this?
you, succulent. I'm telling. Wait, what happened?
I gotta play it now. You know what this is, right? Have you seen this?
No,
You've never seen this.
I don't know what's about to happen.
Oh my goodness.
You just assured me that I could speak.
Sit down inside the car. We're not assuring anything. We're under arrest.
Look, I'm under what? Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. Have a look at the headlock here. See that chap over there? Get your hand off my penis! This is the bloke who put me on the penis before.
Get some cups.
Why did you do this to me?
Get some cups.
For what reason? What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? Oh, that's a nice headlock.
Succulent Chinese meal. Unmute yourself.
Hello?
What did I just watch?
How you doing?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah. What's popping, boys? How's it going?
What's popping?
Nothing much. Just enjoying the show.
Awesome. So, are you a Christian or not?
No, I'm not a Christian.
What are you?
Agnostic, I guess. You know.
All right. So why are you not a Christian?
Actually, I don't want to make it too long because I know there's people in the queue. It's just one main question, which actually incidentally enough, someone had it in the super chat. It was basically about like all the crazy shit that goes down in like the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you guys reconcile that? Like, the genocide. Yeah, that one.
Well, yeah. So I mean,
I love that very articulate way of putting it. By the way, succulent.
So let me let's give an analogy. Let's go over one passage here for you, since you have a pretty awesome name, and I respect that. So 1 Samuel 15. This is one people often bring up here. So okay, this is one of the ones that people go to. So, so the Lord says, talk about the Amalekites. So the Amalekites were a group of people that would raid from the back, which is terrible because that's when you're raiding a group of people from the back and people are migrating. Who's in the back? The elderly, the sick, the women, the children, the slow ones. The Amalekites strike from the back. So they're a very evil group. Now, this is what he says. Now go and strike Amalek and devote to destruction all they have. Do not spare them. Kill both man to woman, child to infant, ox to sheep, camel to donkey. People go, oh my goodness, child and infant? That sounds pretty evil. Let's just read further down here, though. So the story goes, Saul goes, but he brings back the king, Agag, and he lets him, he spares him because he wants to, humiliate him or something. Upsets Samuel. And Samuel says, no, that's not what we were supposed to do. You were supposed to take them all. So here's what Samuel says. Then Samuel said, bring here to me Agag, king of the Amalekites. And Agag came to him cheerfully. So Saul seems to be treating him quite well, which is not good. Agag said, surely the bitterness of death is past. And Samuel said, as your sword has made women childless, so shall your mother be childless among women. Well, hold up. If Saul actually went and killed all the Amalekites, how is Agag's mother still alive so that she could be childless? Richard Hess points out that what's happening here is just using stereotypical language. It's kill both man, women, child, infant, ox to sheep, camel, donkey. He's basically saying kill all in that group you're about to go fight, but it's not literal language. It's basically just saying, yeah, there's a group of raiders over there. Go kill them all. Don't spare any of them because they're raiders. It's like it's just exhaustive language, even though it's not. There were not literal infants in the raiding party.
Yeah,
That-
the specific type of ancient literary device that's being used here is called a merism, for instance.
Like, and you guys, that's okay with you? Like, you believe that, or like you rationalize it that way?
Well, it's
What do you
not
mean?
just a rationalization. It's contextually bound, right? Like the text itself, the type of text it is, the way that it would have been received at an ancient audience in the ancient Near East is this way.
Okay, so when it says kill like women and children, it doesn't mean to kill women and children?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
It's hagiographic hyperbole, stereotypical language of the ancient Near East. It's like, so for example, it's like if you're looking at a raiding party and like God tells Saul, go kill them all. Those are raiders, young to old, man to woman. Everyone in there. But you're looking at the party and you're like, well, it's just a bunch of dudes. Well, yeah, God's just using exhaustive language. That's just very, very common in war texts from the ancient world to use that kind of language.
Okay. So what about something like the flood, like with Noah? Like, that's really everyone getting fucked over. I don't think it's hyperbole.
Do you think it's global?
I love the way you describe. I'm not making fun of you either. I just love how much of a bro you are. You're bringing out the bro in me.
So, do you think it's like an actual global flood then, though?
I have no idea. I just know that God was cheesed enough where he's like, I'm going to destroy everything. Whether he actually destroyed everything, like that's not, like I don't think any of this.
We argue it was a regional flood. First of all.
Okay.
So, I mean, the first thing I would say is that, like, with regards to the flood, it says there was violence on the face of the earth. This whole region is just terribly evil. I want to go to Genesis 19, though. So let's look at how Genesis 18. When God is dealing with destruction, how does he deal with it? Does he just, well, no, there's a whole passage here about Abraham interceding for Sodom. And we know the story. Like Abram goes to him and says, like, okay, you're going to destroy Sodom. But if there are 50 righteous people, will you spare it? He goes, yes. What if there's just 10? He goes, if there's 10, I'll spare it. And they get there and all they have is Lot and his 2 daughters who do horrible things after they get out of Sodom. And Richard Dawkins even said, if these were the best Sodom could offer, you can almost sort of understand where God was coming from in the story. That this was just such an evil place. There were just no good people. So the question then becomes is like, is God actually, if God is going to spare an entire place just for 10 righteous, what was going on in the region where the flood was?
No, I mean, sure, but like, why is he destroying them in the first place? Like, do you get what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, there might be 10 good, like, why is he, just totally ruining a whole, like,
I mean,
whatever. What do you say? A region or community? Like
region. Yeah. So here's my, I mean, we had a guy in here earlier talking about the problem of evil, and like, that's commonly comes up, and people are like, why does God allow evil? Why does he allow suffering? Well, when he stops evil, people get mad for him for stopping evil.
I mean, sure, but like, I don't know what the problem of evil is or like what that is, but I'm just saying, like, aesthetically speaking, why do you want to, get down with a God who's willing to do that kind of stuff?
To stop evil? Because he's a warrior. He's going to stand for justice and he's going to fight evil.
Right, but there's stopping evil and there's stopping evil. Like, think of the most egregious thing that could happen in the United States. What's the worst that could happen to you? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think there's like a relevant difference between God doing this because he's cheesed and God doing this out of grief?
I have no clue like what God, like why he's doing, like, I'm not going to be able to get into his head to see.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, because it sounds like the mental portrait that you have in your head is God is really pissed off and he's doing this because he just, he's, how dare you insult me kind of a thing, right?
I mean,
is that the
is it-
mental image you have in your head?
I mean, is it not like it? I don't know much about Christianity. I'm more like probably know more about like Old Testament Judaism, that sort of thing. But I do know that, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but is it not like a doctrine that one of the most egregious things you could do is just not recognize God? Like that really gets him cheesed, at least in like Abrahamic faiths, right?
Yeah, but why is that a bad thing? And what do you mean by cheesed?
He's willing to like, you know, destroy you. Or like in some Abrahamic faiths, you know, just put you in a pit in hell for like ever just for not recognizing him, or like, you know.
Well,
weren't you here earlier when we were talking to AJ and we covered hell?
Who's AJ? I don't know. No.
He was just up before you a couple of minutes ago.
Did you guys talk about hell? Or,
oh yeah.
Or no. Yeah, sorry. I think you said something about like you think hell is not like a physical place or something, like it's a spiritual sort of torture or something like that. I don't know. What, like, is that what you're talking about?
I'd say go back and watch that because there was. I mean, we kind of already answered that in a lot of detail.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Anyway, appreciate you coming, man. We gotta get to some other guests.
I need protein.
Well, if you need to take off, you're more than welcome.
No, I'm just thinking about protein.
Thanks for the ministry. Question regarding the immutability and infinity of God. If God says Allah, if a God says Allah, who is infinitely only and does not change, would be only infinitely, why then create? Not a problem with the Trinity. It seems like it's super deep, and I'm not entirely following. I think there needs to be a lot more put on this.
I'm not tracking this question. I'm sorry, man.
What is the best way to get into apologetics? Could you suggest some books? Also, I love your vids, Mike. Keep destroying the Dawa, boys.
If you want to get into apologetics, join the Inspiring Philosophy Academy for sure. Because you're going to learn a lot there, not just getting a bunch of the content knowledge that you would get from the books, but also you're going to get a bunch of skills in the process of how to apply all of that knowledge that you wouldn't otherwise get from the books. And you get to talk to cool scholars, and you get to talk to me, and sometimes Mike will be nice and come join us too.
Never nice. Here's what I'd say. Go to the channel. Look at what depends on the subject. So go to some of the videos that are related to the subject you want to study, and then read the books I have in there is what I tell you. Because there's so many different areas to go to. Don't think I've ever given a super chat before. Mike, you're hilarious. God bless you both in your ministry. Well, thank you so much for giving super chats, and hopefully many more. We would appreciate that. Let's bring in this next guest, not Charlie Kirk. How you doing?
Yeah, hello.
What's going on?
Oh, what's up, man? Did you guys change my name?
Is this Kareem?
Hmm?
Is this Kareem?
I'm not sure who is that.
Who am I?
Who are you?
Yes.
Your name says Muhammad Mike.
Okay. So are you a Muslim?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Sorry. What is your what is your religious view then?
I'm a Jew.
Okay. You sound like someone who's been here before named Kareem. That's why I thought it was him.
Yeah, I would just say that like Jesus fulfills no messianic prophecies, which is why I'm not a Christian.
None?
Yeah, I don't think he's the Messiah.
So like what's a messianic prophecy then?
Like a criteria establishing like who's the Messiah and what he's going to do.
So is Zechariah, are those messianic prophecies?
The things in Zechariah, I think they are, yeah, but Jesus doesn't fulfill them.
Okay, well, let me
just destroy the nations and like bring peace to Israel.
So here we have Zechariah 9:9. It talks about, behold, your king is coming to you, righteousness and having salvation, as he humble and mounted on a donkey on a colt. I mean, he rode a donkey into Jerusalem, so he does fulfill that.
Wait, what's the full chapter?
I can show you the full chapter. Yeah.
Hold on.
Did he just leave or?
I don't know.
I mean, there's a messianic prophecy right there. He rode a donkey into Jerusalem. I don't know what's going on. Are you still there, man? Hello. All right. I don't know if he had to take care of something or if was checking something. I'm going to see here. When I was younger, I was an atheist for the same reason anti-theists claim people are Christians. I didn't read the Bible and was listening to people who claim they did. Love your channel. Godspeed. Thank you so much, Matthew. We appreciate that.
Giga Chad.
Not Charlie Kirk. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. But look what it says after verse 9. It says, I will cut off the chariot from Ephraim.
Yeah.
And the warhouse from Jerusalem, and the battle bow shall be cut off, and he shall speak peace to the nations. His rule shall be from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. So when did Jesus do that?
Yes, because he's God. So the other thing to keep in mind is hold on. Let me explain. Yeah, we don't see this anymore coming out of the kingdom of Israel because that stuff was cut off. The nation of Israel, as it was understood in the ancient world, did end. And instead, Christianity, the Great Commission, spoke peace to the nations. And we do say Jesus does rule from sea to sea, from river to the ends of the earth, because he's king over the whole earth now.
This is clearly like war language, political language is being applied here. And you guys obviously don't take Jesus to be a literal political emperor that rules peace or conquers nations.
Yes, we do. We think Jesus is literally the king of the earth. That is what Christianity teaches. He is the eternal king.
He didn't literally conquer the earth, is how I understand it.
He is literally conquering the earth right now. Yes.
Okay, but he isn't, is he? You guys say he's going to or something like that.
Nope. He is right now. Let me show you. 1 Corinthians 15.
I don't care about the New Testament, bro.
Okay, but you want to know what we believe. So I'm explaining to you what we believe. So, for he must reign, so he does reign, until he has put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy to be destroyed is death. So right now, Jesus is reigning. He is putting enemies under his feet as the gospel spreads. And the last enemy to be destroyed is death. So yes, we do say Jesus is reigning. He is currently king. He is speaking peace to the nations because he's not ruling through traditional ancient emperor ways. He rules through the new spiritual kingdom.
But that's exactly what the king is going to do, though.
Says who?
He's going to cut off. He's going to cut off the chariot from Ephraim and the warhouse from Jerusalem. Yeah. All right. He's going to set the prisoners free. He's going to speak peace to the nations. Okay. Your Christian like nations, they like launch numerous wars.
Are you saying that?
It also says, we're not here, but in other scriptures, it also says the Messiah is going to bring all the exiles from Israel. He's going to.
Are you saying that somehow, like a Christian nation does something, therefore it's Jesus doing it?
But it says he's going to bring peace to the nations.
Yes.
And when did Jesus speak peace to the nations?
Again, what is the Christian message? The Christian message is that Jesus resurrected. He is now king over the earth. As the gospel spreads, as the Great Commission spreads, there is more peace. And that's actually true. That's what's happening.
There's hardly peace for Israel. Let
me show you something here. Hold on. Here it is. Let me put this up. So this is actually been measured scientifically, the influence of religion on interstate armed conflict, government religious preference. What this basically shows, it looked at 3 religions, so the ones that we could look at. Basically, they show that Christians. What's that?
What's the relevance?
I'm about to explain it. It looked at Buddhist, Muslim, and Christians. Buddhism was a non-significant. As you can see, it's within the non-significant range here. Islam was positively associated with more conflict. Christianity was negative. So the more Christianity there is, the more interstate armed conflicts go down. So Christianity is creating more peace.
Huh. Okay. That still doesn't mean that Jesus is the Messiah.
Okay, but you notice what just happened.
Okay. That's besides. Hold on. I'll bring up another thing, right? The Messiah, you agree he's supposed to be the son of David, right?
Yes.
Okay. How is Jesus going to be the son of David if he doesn't even have, you guys say he was born through a virgin. So how's he going to be the literal biological son of David?
Really?
2 Samuel says the Messiah is going to literally be from the blood of David. He's literally going to be from the blood of Judah.
Luke chapter 1. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God to the city of Galilee named Nazareth to a virgin betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. And the virgin's name was Mary. And he came to her and said, "Greetings, O favored one, the Lord's with you." But so of the house of David.
Yeah, I don't care what the New
So
Testament says.
Again, you're asking what we believe. The New Testament says Mary was a descendant of David, therefore he has the blood of David.
No, Joseph was of the house of David. It says.
Both were.
Where does it say that?
Matthew chapter 1. So here it is. It gives you the genealogy, goes down from Abraham down to Joseph. David is clearly in there because it says David was the father of Solomon, father of Uriah, so on and so on.
Okay,
You get down to here.
It's Joseph.
Joseph.
And Joseph
Jacob, the
isn't
father of Joseph, the husband of Mary.
Joseph isn't the biological father of Jesus, which the
Very
Second
good.
Samuel says he has to be the biological.
Where does it say that?
Pretty sure it's
Samuel what?
2 Samuel 7:12, I believe.
7:12. Oops.
I believe that's it.
When your days are fulfilled and you lie down with your fathers, I'll raise up your offspring after you who shall come from your own body, and I will establish his kingdom.
Okay, so he's gonna come from from his body. That's obviously an idiom for the literal genealogical, like blood offspring. So he's gonna come from the direct genealogy of Jesus,
Mary,
of David.
Okay, Mary.
It's not how that works.
It is how it works. That's how basic
The line
genetics
of David,
works.
It doesn't go through women.
Oh, it doesn't? Wow, that seems anti-scientific.
What? No, that's not what I mean.
Okay, then what do you mean?
I mean, like the Messiah, it's not going to come through a woman.
Why?
Because the Torah says so.
Where?
Okay, so it doesn't say it like verbatim, but it clearly
says, right? So it doesn't say it.
There's a distinction, right? Between, right? It gives you how you actually like inherit, like how you actually like inherit someone's.
Does that mean the God of the Bible doesn't think women carry the genetics of their parents?
That's not what I meant. I meant, right? Mary's not going to have the blood of David. Can you prove that?
Yes,
Mary's
she
from the
does.
line of David?
Okay, so you're basically just showing us very clearly two things. You're showing us A, Christianity is not a sexist religion, but Judaism is, and B, Christianity is a scientific religion and Judaism is not.
I said nothing about science, but that's besides the point. Can you prove
Mary
Mary's
is
from the line of David?
Yes, I showed you Luke.
Luke says Joseph. What are you talking about?
My good, let's put this up again. Luke chapter 1. Luke chapter 1. To the virgin betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. Is Mary not of the house of David?
It says to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David.
And she
So
was
Joseph
also
is from
of
the
that
house of David.
They both are.
It doesn't say both, no, does it? How do you not?
Where's
You're
Mary
not even
from?
getting your own New Testament right, bro.
Mary is of the same household.
It doesn't say that, no, does it?
Yes, that's what Luke is basically teaching. You said earlier, it doesn't say verbatim in there. It teaches it, but here I'm showing you where it teaches it.
Where
and you're like,
does it
no.
imply that both were from the house of David? Please show me.
I'm reading it to you right now.
Okay, read it. Read it to me like I'm a 5-year-old,
Oh
man.
my gosh.
Read it.
To the man who was with Joseph of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary, and he came to her and said, "Greetings, O favored one, the Lord is with you." But she was greatly troubled at saying, and tried to discern what sort of greeting this might be. And the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God, and behold, you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you shall call him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. And the Lord God will give him the throne of his father David."
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you keep reading, it says, "And he will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of the kingdom there'll be no end." And Mary said to the angel, "How will this be, since I'm a virgin?" So the text is acknowledging he's not going to have a biological father on earth, but he still is going to have the throne of his father David. So then Mary is of the same lineage. That's why this is what this is talking about here.
Romans 1:3, from the seed of David according to the flesh.
Okay.
There's
Even
another.
then, why are there contradictions in your genealogies?
Are you seriously okay? Can you acknowledge that the New Testament teaches Mary's a descendant of David before we
Sure.
move on? Okay,
Sure.
great. So moved on to that. All right. So he's a descendant of David, so he fulfills that criteria as well. Thank you for that. Next one, then, the different genealogies. How many
Yeah.
genealogies do you have?
What do you mean? What?
You have a mother and a father, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So why can't the genealogy in Luke be coming from Mary's father?
It doesn't say Mary. It gives
Right.
2 genealogies for Joseph.
So
And so those are contradictory since it uses different names.
you do understand there's a concept in the Old Testament of legal heirs, right?
Like a guy can marry his brother's wife or something like that.
Well, you have the levirate marriage, yeah, but you also have, there's a good example within what Deuteronomy 25, I believe it is, where you can have a son born biologically is his brother's line, but legally he is the dead brother's line.
Okay, so show me that in the genealogies because very clearly they have different names. Like one goes through David's son Nathan, the other is something else. So like how can that be?
So we would just say there's a legal change happening. So what's probably going on is Joseph was the legal heir of legal heir of multiple people, at least 2. So it'd be Heli and Jacob. So he's biologically one, but he's also taken on the legal heir of another one. Like, for example, if Mary's didn't have any brothers, okay, then the legal heir of her father would have been her husband, which would have been Joseph.
I had a video on this on our Inspiring Philosophy Academy channel. Let me see if I can find a little graphic I made.
Okay. Yeah, I got one more thing to talk about.
Okay, never mind then.
Okay, so your
hold on. I wanted to show one quick thing here. Let me see if I can find it really fast in the genealogies. Because in the genealogy of Matthew, I gotta find
Here,
it.
I'll show this while you're finding that. You can find this on our Inspiring Philosophy Academy YouTube channel, by the way. But here's the genealogies traced without contradiction.
Maybe it's not that.
Yeah, okay. So I got one more thing to bring up.
Okay.
Yeah, so according to Deuteronomy 13, a prophet that teaches a different God than what Israel knows should be put to death. And he's a false prophet, even if he does like miracles and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So did Jesus teach a different God than what Israel knew?
Nope.
He didn't teach a Trinity according to you guys?
He did.
Oh, you just activated our favorite subject.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wait,
let's have a conversation here.
You guys say Jesus taught the Trinity or something like your Jesus
Of course
taught
he
the
did.
Trinity, right?
Just like the Old Testament does.
The Old Testament teaches the Trinity?
Can I show you?
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Shema?
Can I show you?
Oh, great. Let's talk about the Shema. I love talking about the Shema too. Do you think that the
doesn't say
Shema
three,
is
does it? Hear,
Yeah,
O
do you
Israel,
think
the
that
Lord our
do you
God
think
is one
that
Lord.
yeah, I
How
understand.
many
I know
lords,
what the
bro?
Shema is. Do you think that the word echad means numerical oneness?
The word echad?
Yeah, do you think that echad, the word for one,
Uh-huh.
do Do you think that means
single
one,
numeric
as in
one,
like
yeah.
metaphysical, no Trinity, anything like that?
Obviously.
Okay. Where in the context of Deuteronomy 6:4 do you see that the Shema is supposed to be anything about metaphysics rather than Yahweh only worship?
It says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord." That's what it says.
Yeah, there's other translations
sure
too.
how
For
you
instance, the Jewish Publication Society translate this as, "Hear ye, O Israel, the Lord is your God, the only Lord for you." So, for instance, Zechariah 14 speaks of the coming, the eschaton, and talks about in those days, Yahweh will be worshipped echad. So, are we supposed to understand that to mean that the prophet is saying that right now Yahweh is not being worshipped as one God, as you would say, but he will be later?
Yeah, hold on.
Did he just go away again?
Yeah, maybe just go look or something like that.
Okay. We'll do a super chat here. Sorry, it was not much room to explain. Yeah, no problem, man. I get it. Dawa, more like dawa. Yep. Chat, pray for these callers. Exactly. Pray for these callers, chat. Just joined the IP Academy. So hold up.
Based.
That. Love the resources. I got some amazing advice from Tim and John. Well, that's good. Wait, John.
Oh, Big John Steele was on the Wednesday call.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys want to join the academy, just go to inspiringphilosophy.com. It's on the front page. You just hit sign up now. It takes you to here and you're ready to sign up. Sorry, I have to look at Tim's face. I apologize for that. But that's it. But yeah, here it is. You just click sign up and you're good to go. It's right on the main page. Is this guy coming back or is he? What were you talking with him about? Just so, because I was
the Shema, because you know how people like to say the Shema means that God is, what's the word I'm looking for? Unitarian. And then my argument is, well, Deuteronomy has nothing to do with metaphysics. It's all about Yahweh only worship. And then the word Echad, if you take that to mean like a Unitarian reading, Zechariah 14 is going to be a counterexample. Then also the fact that there's a bunch of different things, but you get the point.
Yeah. I was trying to look up that legal issue. I remember looking this up like in a lot of detail once on like legal heirs. Like they show up in Matthew's genealogy of Jesus. And it's like Shealtiel had different fathers. Like one is like Pedaiah and the other one is somebody else, but I can't remember where I found that. It's like somewhere in Chronicles, but I'll need to look that up. Anyway, dang it, he just opened up the whole nature of God.
I was excited
and left. This is philosophy. Manifest. Get your hands and fallacies off me. Very true. Get your hands and fallacies off of me. Babies don't come from women's bodies. Add that to your book. That was a wild take, man. I was sitting here going like, okay. Oh my goodness. Y'all think Adam was created directly or elected? Elected. I take the elected view. Yes. Echad can mean complex unity. Genesis 2:24. Yachid is the Hebrew word for an absolute singularity. Did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, like if you want to take that view, you can. I'm not gonna knock you for that. I think
I will.
I think that Echad is in the context of Deuteronomy 6:4 specifically, more so saying that Yahweh alone is your Lord.
Mm-hmm. All right. If this dude is like not going to come back, we're going to kick him because we're going to wrap up soon. So you got 2 seconds to come back or not. because we've given you a ton of time. If you're not back by the end of this super chat, we're gonna move on. Bit of correction: both Matthew and Luke trace Joseph's genealogy, but do have some contradictions, particularly who Joseph's father was. Well, it depends on if Joseph had another lineage that he was a legal descendant of. That's the argument we're making. So we're saying there are different genealogies, but one is a biological and one is his legal descent. Kev, are you there?
Yes, hello.
How you
Kev,
doing?
are you Canadian?
Yes, I am. Why?
I want you to apologize for all the smoke that I'm dealing with.
Oh, hello.
I'm
Oh,
just kidding.
nothing too much,
I hope
though.
you're safe. I hope you're safe, brother.
Yeah, me too. Anyways, I just want to know the true God, the one only God.
That would be Yahweh of the Bible.
Yeah, I just want to know the true God. I'm agnostic. I'm just having no relationship with God. That's it.
Okay. So have you prayed? Have you gone to a church at all?
No, I haven't.
I would say that's the first thing you need to do. First, pray to God. Ask
Yeah.
him to guide you, to come into your heart, that reveal himself to you. Find a good local church that can help you grow and can help minister to you.
No, not at all. I just want to know like the Bible's corrupted, like something like that. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm agnostic.
So why do you think the Bible's corrupted?
Because it was man-made. I don't even know.
How do you know the Bible was corrupted, though?
Because I feel like it's changed. The New Testament's changed.
According to what or who?
Like Matthew, like Micah, stuff like that.
Nika? What?
Micah?
Micah.
What about Matthew and Micah?
the Old Testament.
Yeah. What about it though? You said Matthew and Micah. What?
I just want to know the true God. I'm just here to know the truth. Like, I used to be Muslim. I was born, raised as a Muslim, but I'm agnostic because I know what Muhammad is doing. I know what he's doing.
So have you looked at any of the evidence for Christianity?
Well, I don't know the Trinity. I just had a hard time understanding it.
Well, what's hard to understand about it? It's one God who's three persons.
Like, I feel like it's one God only.
Okay. Yeah, we agree. It's one God.
Yes.
So, like, what have you? We're first of all, we're happy. It's great you're out of Islam. That's great. But like, what is
Yes, thank God I left. By the grace of God, I left.
That's good. So, what is keeping you from becoming a Christian then?
Like, I want to become a Christian because you know why?
Why?
I feel like Jesus is the true God because back in 2021 I used to know Jesus. I used to know him. But back in 2023 my dad told me that Jesus is not the son of God. And then 3 years I've been depressed. Been depressed my whole life. I have no relationship with God right now because 3 years I've been depressed.
I think you need. This is one of the things we teach in Christianity is that Jesus is still alive. He resurrected and he's still active. So call out to him, pray to him. He will come to you. We do not doubt that at all. Find a local church, start talking to people there, get involved. Make sure, don't go to a rainbow church. Make sure they're preaching the gospel, but get involved in a local church and start seeking God. Let me show you something that Jesus said. Matthew 7 is where I'm going to. So Matthew chapter 7. Hold on. These stupid ads keep popping up. Oh my gosh, so many of them. It's kind of annoying. All right, let me put this up here. So this is in Matthew 7. Why did he jump to the King James? All right, we'll just do the King James then. Ask and it shall be given. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened to you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth. Him that knocketh it shall be opened. Or what man is there of you, whom if his son ask bread, he gives him a stone, or a fish, he give him a serpent? If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more shall the Father, which is in heaven, give good things to those that ask him? Therefore, all things whatever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even to them, for this is the law of the prophets. In other words, if you ask God, he will show up.
Yes.
So, do you want to pray?
Yes, I just want to pray.
Okay, let's pray then.
Let's do it together.
All right.
Father God, we come before you with our friend here, Kev, who is earnestly seeking you and looking for you everywhere he can. Please reveal your son to him, show up in his life, lead him in the right direction. Bring him a good church community that will help him grow. Bring him into the kingdom. Bring him into the baptism. Save his soul. And we know you hear us. We know you hear us when we call to you. So please, as you said, when 2 or 3 are gathered in your midst, you shall be there also. So send your son to be in this midst and to guide Kev into the kingdom. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
So what I want you to do for us, Kev, is I want you to start looking for a local church. You still there? Kev, are you still there? I think we lost him. Kev, if you can still hear us, go back out and come back in, because I don't know if your mic's not working or something. So just leave and come back in, because we can't hear anything you're saying if you're talking.
Can you hear me, Kev?
Can you hear him?
No.
Okay. The guy says the Messiah has not come through a man. Doesn't Genesis 3? We lost him. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe doesn't Genesis 3:25 already show that the offspring who's to come through Eve? Would that be a good example of the virgin birth? Well, not necessarily, because again, you can just say that Eve had male offspring as well. So, but I mean, we would agree it definitely does come through the line of Eve. I mean, but there's I guess there's a good argument you can make there that the woman's genetics also play into that, because it does say that her descendant will. So why does it have to be the man's genetics? See if Kev comes back here. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he was done. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He sounded like it was a touchy subject too, so he could have just gotten emotional and needed to leave.
Yeah. Well, everyone pray for Kev. Pray that he continues to grow and becomes a Christian very soon. That's what we want to hear. LaBelle, are you there? LaBelle. LaBelle going once. LaBelle is there. LaBelle, if you're there, because you kind of just dropped yourself, just go back out and come back in and we'll bring you up if you just need to refresh the StreamYard page, because we can't hear you if you're trying to talk. I didn't kick them again. I think they're doing something weird. Jimmy Aiken did a good video on Jesus' genealogy. Who was Jesus' grandfather? Stay based. Cool. Appreciate it. If you guys are interested, you can check that out. Yeah, there's an issue where it's Zerubbabel has 2 fathers in the Old Testament. It's Pedaiah and Shealtiel. So one is obviously his legal descent. Mike, which of your takes do other Christians fight you on more? Your stance on swearing or your beliefs around evolution? Probably the swearing one.
Really?
I'd say. As of late, yeah. Probably more in the past evolution, but I've not talked about it in a while, so that might be the case. LaBelle, are you there?
Says device not connected.
No, it's the other one. They came back in with a different device.
Mhm.
So I don't know. LaBelle, I don't know if you're having a technical issue.
Hello?
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 Hello, I hear
Hi.
you.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Right. Oh my god, I need to press a few buttons.
Okay.
On this connector thing. It's all very old fashioned. Mr. Muhaimin Mike Jones and Than Christopoulos. I'm
What's going
so absolutely glad to meet you. I'm kind of a Christian, but I'm finding it difficult.
Okay.
I'm finding it very, very difficult because the ground crew really sucks.
Yeah,
to be
we
honest.
agree.
It
The-
really,
wait,
really does.
what is the ground crew? Sorry.
Us,
Well, the
I'm not-
people. The ground
Oh.
crew.
Oh yeah, we
the
we
people
do
in the-
suck. I yeah.
Oh no, I don't mean you. I don't mean you.
Oh no, I'm part of
Um,
the ground crew. I'm happy to admit I'm a hypocrite in my own ways that I'm probably blind to.
That
Um,
might be the truth. I'm not sure. However, I was baptized as a child as a German Lutheran. And the German Lutheran Church used to be really, really strict. And we saw ourselves, I was born 1964. We are the true Catholics. Now, I live in England now since about 1995. And there is a local German Lutheran church in my area. First thing I see when I walked in there was a rainbow candle on the altar, and I nearly threw up in a circle. I just can't believe what this is going to, that all the churches, all the mainstream churches are going towards what on earth is going on. They're going towards all the things that we really can't mention here without getting your channel shut down. Do you understand what I mean?
Yep, I
The-
understand what you mean.
From Trans-Siberian to trans this and the other. And nothing is the rigidity that it used to be. When I used to go for my confirmation even, right? It was rigid, absolutely rock hard pews. They hurt your butt. You got bruises on your back. I mean, as a German Lutheran, we don't kneel, we stand up to pray. But the pastor always gave you a head wash, and I'm not saying a brain wash, that's different. They rinsed your head from all your sins because they confronted you with them all the time. And
Yeah, that's
this
wrong.
is completely gone. And now we go, oh no, we are just all one big family on the entire planet, and we are all equal and the same. And I'm saying, no, we are bloody not.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, what's the problem? This is just people being people. This is just
Yeah.
showing original sin.
But it makes it difficult because when I was very young, I always kind of believed in Jesus but you know, as you grow up in a little bit, you forget about all of this, don't you? Because other things become more important. And now I'm 61, and for the last, I would say, about 20 years, I'm thinking I need to make this connection back again. But not with this ground crew. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I refuse to. Because if you're open for everything, you are not solid for one thing at all. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, but that's not every church. There are good churches out there. You have to find the one that is gonna be the good church that's gonna teach.
Well, I'm
that.
not going to become an Orthodox. You can knock that right on the head.
Okay, all right.
I'm not
but you
going to
do still
become
Protestant.
a
No,
Roman
you don't.
Catholic either. My question is, can I be a good Christian without being a member of any kind of church or faith group? Everybody would tell me, oh no, that's impossible. Yeah, but the German Lutheran Church goes by sola scriptura, so I go by the scripture only.
So Hebrews 10:25 does call us to meet regularly. It says not to neglect to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, all the more as you see the day drawing near. So it does call us to be part of a congregation. So I would highly, highly encourage you to be a part of a congregation. I don't think that saves us, to be clear, but I think if we're being drawn by the Spirit, we should be a part of a congregation.
I'm not so much after being saved. I would quite happily, if push comes to shove, be put into hell as long as I'm going to be in charge of the Lord's worst enemies, of their eternal torture.
Well, that's the wrong mentality to have.
Is it? Do you think so?
Yes, absolutely. Because you're trying to use God to get something, which is like you're like power, like you're in charge of the enemies. Like that's not what Christianity is about.
Okay, so up for becoming an angel then.
Why are you looking at this as like
totally naively? I don't know.
Well, don't look at this as if you're going to get something. You're looking at this as to get God. That's what Christianity is about.
Yes. Fine.
Just tell me if I'm off. I'm sensing that you're speaking from a place of genuine hurt right now, and
yes, frustration.
That you're feeling like you want justice.
I've been let down by every single church I have sort of approached in the last 25 years of my life. Yes, either they are totally hippie and rainbow and oh yeah, he loves us all and it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, you've sinned. Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, the Roman Catholics. I don't know about the Roman Catholics worldwide, but in Germany, I know for a fact they sin from Monday to Saturday, and then they go and to Sunday, and I don't know what they do there. What's it called again? When they go and tell all their sins to the priest.
I hear you.
In the little box, do you know? When they go and sit down in the little box, and when they tell everything that they've done wrong throughout the weeks, and they get all forgiven and everything, and then they start again. And I'm thinking, what on earth is this all about? This is just like a pyramid scheme here, or what? What is going on? I'm trying my hardest to be a true Christian, but I'm feeling I'm being boycotted with every step I take.
I get that.
By the institutions and also by the Christians around me, the ones that have got the audacity to just say, "Oh, ABC is not a Christian, CDE is a good Christian," and then I look at CDE and I'm thinking, "Oh my God, they get plastered every weekend." You know, and dance on the tables and all sorts. I mean, that's up to them. Don't get me wrong. We're all allowed to have fun. But I'm trying to lead this really, really Christian life, not to the way that I want to be. I don't want to walk next to Jesus Christ, right? But it says follow him. It doesn't say walk next to him. It doesn't say overtake him, does it? But even that is being made absolutely impossible to me because I can never do it wrong for whoever goes and indoctrinates me from whatever church or from whatever faith group or whatever individual Christian.
LaBelle, I think the issue is that you're just dealing with a lot of hurt, but this is not the gospel. That's people being people. I at the end of the day, we don't know what to tell you because we just agree. Like this is. People are bad. This is why we need. You're giving plenty of examples of why we need to be saved from our sin, and it's just showing that the gospel is so much needed. But I don't know how much we can help you because we can't talk to these people. We can't counsel. We're here to do evangelism and apologetics.
LaBelle, this is what I'll say to you.
Mm-hmm.
The way you're feeling, right? I'm talking about the feeling you have. Not the conclusions you're deriving from the feelings, but the way you are feeling is valid.
Okay.
Okay. You are okay. It is okay to feel like this. But I don't think that you're going to be able to get through this in a healthy way without getting help sorting through the emotions you're dealing with and the psychological
Yeah.
distress that you're going through.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like that I honestly believe that is the first thing that you need to do is actually learn how to work through this first before you figure
Mhm.
out where to go next.
Right.
Because if you can't metabolize this pain, if you can't sit there and let yourself feel it, right now you're angry, right?
It's not a
You're
pain,
angry
it's
and you're
disappointment.
frustrated and you want to do something, right?
Yeah.
But you and I are both Christians, and we already know what it looks like when people act from anger and frustration that hasn't
That's
been
tough.
properly metabolized, right?
It's hard.
So my encouragement to you is to first sort through this pain and frustration and anger. Find somebody you can trust to do that first. Because
Right.
I'm at least right now, like I hear your breath as you're talking. I'm gonna venture out to guess that you're like your chest is moving faster than normal right now, and you're probably tensed up and everything. And
No, I'm just screaming.
if you're carrying that around all the time, of course you're exhausted. Of course you're frustrated.
hmm
But you need to take the time to work through that first before you
Yeah.
make any decisions.
And
Can
that
you do
was,
that for me?
I will really try, but you know, there are so many people who come out with, "Oh yeah, I've seen him in my dreams. I've seen him, blah blah," and all of this. I never had this. Maybe because I always believed in him, and I'm
Okay.
not saying that he let me down, right? I'm not saying that at all. I'm thinking he's always with me and stuff, but it's the ground crew that really gets my hackle up. It really does,
We agree.
because
Yeah.
they're leading people towards a different path, and they shouldn't go towards this path. I'm a little bit Anne Widdecombe here, you know. If you
Yeah.
ever heard of her, go and look her up. She just recently got unalived.
We'll look her up. We appreciate that. We do need to
Yeah.
wrap up soon because we've been going for
Yeah,
almost
I
3 hours.
understand. And I
But-
thank you both. And I would like to this guy Kev, when you start praying for him, I did too.
Good.
I appreciate that,
appreciate
LeBeau.
that. Thanks. So
But from the bottom of my heart, and I hope he comes back and
Yeah.
reports. Thank you guys so much for your work and everything. Love you guys. Okay.
thank you. Appreciate
God
it.
bless you, LeBeau.
Bye bye.
Kev did come back. We wanted to talk to him again real quick before we
Oh,
wrap up.
yes.
You there?
Yeah,
How you
I'm
doing, man?
there. I just want to know, like, is all Muslims going to hell?
We don't say yes or no on that. That's for God to decide. If God is perfectly loving and perfectly just, he will get everyone into heaven that can get in.
In the Quran.
What about in the Quran?
Like, can you show me the verse? Like, it's somewhere in 1971.
Oh, you're talking about Surah 19. Yeah.
Yes, Surah 19.
What about it? Like, what about that in the Quran?
Like, is like, I don't understand the verse. Like, it means like I heard from these Muslims saying that no, you're not going to hell. Like
Yes,
in
everyone goes to
Surah
hell in
Maryam.
Islam. There it says, yeah, it's Surah. So, and we truly know best who is the most deserving of burning in it. There is none of you who will not pass over it. This is a decree your Lord must fulfill. Then we will deliver those who were devout, leaving the wrongdoers there on their knees. So, in other words, yes, everyone goes to hell in Islam, but some
Yeah.
get out.
Hmm.
Sounds very demonic. Like, guys, when you're dying and you're going to hell, that's what you should expect. Wink, wink.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's up?
What's that?
Nothing. You speak.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's Islam. Christianity, though, everyone who the Bible says in Romans, everyone who calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. So if you call upon Christ, and you say,
Yeah.
I believe in Jesus, I believe he died for my sins, you will be saved.
Yes.
Do you?
Yes. I confessed.
You confess what?
I confessed that I just confessed that Jesus is Lord because I know he's up there with me. He's waiting for me in heaven.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. But
Praise God.
anyways, I just praise the Lord, but I know what Muhammad is doing. I know what Muhammad's doing, bro.
Mm-hmm. Well,
He
Islam is
married
an evil religion.
married a 6-year-old. He's you know, he had consummation at 9 years old. I just know this hadith. And all these
Yeah.
Muslims, they're trying to justifying, saying that, oh, she was older. Oh, it's a big lie. What a big lie, bro. These
It is.
Dawah guys, I rebuke them in Jesus' name. I rebuke them.
Amen. Amen. Can you do us a favor? Can you start looking for a church community that will help you grow and be your spiritual family?
Sure.
That's what you got to do, man. You got to get baptized. You got to be a part of a congregation. And so we really want you to keep growing in Christ, and you need to do that.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
I wanna address you something like, can I like come to your live stream again?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Next
do them every
Thursday or
Thursday.
something, yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
I'll call you anytime, anywhere, and I want to know the truth.
Okay. We'll see you next week then.
All right. See ya.
See ya. This was the best call on the show. Please make a lot more like these for atheists, agnostics, Jews. Appreciate it. Thanks so much, man. All right. We got to close this out. Than's hungry. I got to get somewhere. So we got to run. So I see people in the chat like Michael's back there saying, let me squeeze in. Come back next week, man. I'm sorry. I got to run. Than's got to run. I had a heart out and I'm already 5 minutes over. So we will be doing this next week, though. So we'll just probably do the same topic. Anyway, see you guys next week. You made it to the end of this video, which means this message matters to you. If you want to see more content like this reaching people for Christ, you can help make it happen. Your support makes these videos possible. Click the link below and donate today. And if you want to go even deeper, consider joining our Patreon community. You'll get early access to videos, behind-the-scenes content, and a place to connect with others passionate about this mission.